Good morning. Afternoon, I should say. Or should I say anything at all? Yes, I absolutely should. The TikTok and YouTube short tyrant is here to advance a very dangerous political agenda. Look at this. Oh yeah, there's a little slop coming down the pipeline. Don't you fucking worry. Alright, wait, I'm gonna be streaming on TikTok at some point. Hey, Lord Avil, how's it going? How you doing, brother? What's up? We're gonna get this crossword going in just a moment here. How goes it? How have you been? Ah, God, I'm sniffly as hell today. That sucks. Collect. Earn. Tithe. Gather. Gain. Have you heard about Trump and Musk? Oh, bro. Yeah, that's the MAGA drama I'm referring to. It is glorious. Oh my God. This fallout is just so sweet. Now, what will actually come of it? Probably nothing. But it's kind of funny. Like, here, let me pull up X.com. I don't think Musk has said anything, at least to my knowledge, since 2 days ago. Trump. It's the petty. Remember, this is the richest man in the world and the most powerful man in the world in the pettiest fight ever. I've seen more serious drama in middle school. Like, give me a break. But I actually don't. I would never want to break from this because it is just so glorious. Oh yeah, this is it time to create a new political party with 80% in the middle? That's some 15-year-olds be like, God damn, he's really on it. He's cooking with that one. And she's still on her, or like, loving Malay, whatever. Starlink, Falcon 9. Giving free healthcare to illegal immigrants is what? Oh yeah, fun fact. Only 8% of people on Medicare, Medicaid, I think it's Medicaid, I think, are between jobs or no, I'm in Connecticut. No, I'm not although I was born in California. I lived there for 7 years, but no, I'm a Northeasterner, brother. The America Party. Fuck off. The anti-solar mind virus has infected the GOP. Oh my God. Wow. I mean, it seems like mom and dad are going to continue fighting here. We might watch Kash Patel on Joe Rogan. Yeah. Anyways, that's that. Let's watch Kash Patel. What do I want to do? I wanted to view my channel. because the shorts that I posted is banging. Look at that shit.
We finally have the opportunity to hand the Trump admin a major L. The big, beautiful bill hangs in the balance with 3 Republican senators openly against it. With the current split in the Senate, that means that the bill would pass by 1 vote from none other than J.D. Vance to break the tie. However, there are at least 4 Republican senators who are on the edge about the bill, and if one of them can be flipped, the bill may be able to be blocked. The senators on the edge are Josh Hawley from Missouri, Suzanne Collins from Maine, Jim Justice from West Virginia, and Mike Crapo from Idaho. If you live in any
So it's banging on that account a little bit as far as YouTube shorts go. So, just with a grain of salt, obviously. Let's get back to YouTube. Please don't make me switch accounts on stream. You're going to make me switch accounts on stream. All right. So I got to go all the way over here, switch back. Because you guys don't need my email. Oh, who do I like less between Trump and Musk? Oh. Ooh. I probably like Musk more than Trump. Musk is really annoying, but I think Musk has been net good with SpaceX and Tesla. The Boring Company, I'm not such a big fan of. I'm really not a fan of, to be frank. But I think Musk has been a net good and Trump has been a net awful. The Joe Rogan experience. Why is it that every billionaire, no matter how much wealth they donate, ends every year richer than they started with? It's because their philanthropy it's because their philanthropy is primarily a cover for the mess, exploitation, and of the theft from the economic system they're committing daily. I would say it's probably just because they're, well, one, at their tax bracket, they get to write off probably about half of the donation before they even... So they're only really losing half of what's donated. The mass exploitation stuff, I don't think that's inherent in being a billionaire, but there's certainly no small amount of billionaires that are not exactly the, let's say, the most beneficial. Texas man born to U.S. soldier on U.S. Army base abroad deported. All right, well, thanks for stopping in. What the fuck is this? Literally caught. Yeah, I know. That's fucked up. Jesus. Huh. The fuck? Yeah, I mean, interesting. Could be, but I don't know. We'll see. So what's the name of this case? This? Okay. This is back in 2015. So was this deportation recent? Okay. Yeah, I'll keep digging into this. Hey, thanks for the prime back. I appreciate it. Appreciate you, brother. Let's go. We'll see when those sub emotes and shit come through. That'll be awesome. But wait, see if you can display the little guy. Let's fucking go. No, shit. Hold on. I'll work on that. Maybe hold on. Give me a sec here. Subscriptions. Subscriber benefits. No, that's discounts on my merch that I have. I'm kidding. Emotes page. Open. Upload emote. Alright, let's find. Where's the little dude I drew? Not square shaped. Ah, fuck. Auto resize, you dingus. Whatever. Sub icon large. What? Is not between 112 pixels? Oh, for the fucking love of God. No, hold on. Okay, hold on. Seriously? Wait, did I not open this in photo? What? Hold on. Testicle difficulties, as they say. Oh, here, hold on. Really?
Viking
Hold
towns.
on.
I mean, it's really quite incredible what they're doing now.
Hold on. That is such shit.
Month. I mean, I talked to Elon about it.
AI
blown away
Viking
literally every week. Every week there's some new breakthrough.
interview.
Like, wow, we didn't expect that.
Well, I can tell.
I've got to imagine this is
You've
what
raided
Rogan's
Paris,
talking.
ruled Kattegat, and buried your enemies. But what's your morning routine like?
I meditate, then decapitate.
What are your pronouns?
Death and destruction.
Do you talk to your men about
That was a Minecraft sheep
mental
sound.
health?
If they can talk, they're not suffering enough.
Don't you worry about the carbon footprint of burning down entire
It's definitely this.
villages?
I'm pretty proud of this short. Like, this got probably about 2,000 views across platforms.
We finally have the opportunity to hand the Trump admin a major L. The big, beautiful bill hangs in the balance with
Look
3
at him.
Republican senators openly against it. With the current split in the Senate, that means that the bill would pass by 1 vote from none other than J.D. Vance to break the tie. However, there are at least 4 Republican senators who are on the edge about the bill, and if one of them can be flipped, the bill may be able to be blocked. The senators on the edge are Josh Hawley from Missouri, Suzanne Collins from Maine, Jim Justice from West Virginia.
Also the lighting,
and Mike
my
Crapo
baby
from
blues,
Idaho.
goddamn.
If you live in any of these states, call and or write and encourage them to stand up to this insane bill. To remind you of what passing this bill.
Yeah, that's that. Is this goober? Which one, Joe Rogan or me? Hey Googly, how's it going? We're shoring up the crossword here, and then it's on to the world games. Yeah. Oh no.
And you really believe the colonies are loyal? Absolutely, they adore me.
It's
I'm a
perfect.
fantastic king. And you really believe the colonies are loyal? Absolutely, they adore me.
Oh, this is gonna be so fun. Interviewing. Okay. No, wait. Not art. AI art is not art. Okay, who else? Hit me with suggestions. It's like, so, interviewing Santa about his army of elves and their work conditions. And asking if they are I don't know if I could do that. Let's see.
And
Well
he was
known.
going to get it.
Well known. Yeah, and they probably would.
But this time it'll be legal. That's the important part. I was talking about this yesterday to no one. I was screaming into the void, but they finally brought him back, so they fucking caved. He's gonna get deported again. That's true. But remember, his status is partial to the problem here. Him being a good or bad guy isn't the issue. The issue is the fucking way they went about deporting him and the ignoring of the injunction. Not here to defend Garcia, because he does seem like a little bit of a sussy fella. But it's just it's important to keep in mind what the issue actually is. Fuck off.
Doubling down on it.
times.
How are they doubling
Make better
down? What way?
crosswords than I
They've
might.
been asked.
Back in the
year
day, we
since,
used to call them.
They've been like, hey, actually,
I don't know if you want to finish that.
do you remember the time where Hunter Biden got charged in 2 separate felony federal indictments
Right.
in 2 different districts?
Sussy buck.
And they're like, now we stand by our, like, the people
You
that
just so back in the day, you described people with domestic abuse charges as sussy bacchus. What is? Hold on.
Fish! These cards aren't good! It's the Joker, baby! Cheater! Cheater! Why so serious? Guys! Archie Phantom Tax, my chicken bake! This is my chicken bake! At least we still have
I mean,
the
they put
double
an
chunk
effort to
chocolate
it.
Cookie. So chocolate and funky. With a double chunk chocolate cookie without some milk.
I mean, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. This reminds me of.
My Discord kitten is calling! Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. I'm done with this stupid pudding. Cause they're all beta
Did you
males.
make this
Oh, yeah?
googly?
Then what does that make you? I'm an alpha male. I'm done with you guys. I'm calling my mommy. Mommy! This is all his fault. Why?
How did you find? It has 3 likes. Did you make this? Is this your video? Let's go this. I want to do what's her name? Pam Bondi Garcia. Dude, she looks fucking disheveled, man.
Of a minor.
Minor. What about the crafters?
Good afternoon. We're here today to announce a major update in an important case. Abrego Garcia has landed in the United States to face justice. On May 21st, a grand jury in the Middle District of Tennessee returned a sealed indictment charging Abrego Garcia with alien smuggling and conspiracy to commit alien smuggling in violation of Title 8 U.S.C. 1324. We want to thank President Bukele
Come on.
for agreeing to return Abrego Garcia to the United States. Our government presents
Just remember the Stephen Miller clip where he's like, oh, what, the guy's in another country? We can't force a guy out of another country. First of all, yeah, you fucking can. And 2, you were like, oh, we wiped our hands of this. He's gone. And now they're like, we got him back, everybody. Fuck off.
Presented El Salvador with an arrest
Having your
warrant,
cuck and eating it
and
too.
they agreed to return him to our country. We're grateful to President Bukele for agreeing to return him to our country to
President
face
Bukake,
these very
right?
serious charges. This is what American justice looks like.
Fine.
Upon completion of his
Although, does listening to Pam Bondi not count as brain rot?
He's the first to fall asleep. You know what that means. Who woke me up from my slumber? It was him. No, not true. You're literally a mouth breather. Disgusting rodent. At least I don't have a negative cancel tilt. I need a diaper. I'm drinking too much Logan Paul and KSI energy liquids. Someone's been phantom taxing my Salamanca slicers. It was him! It was him! I love pickles! You've been phantom taxing my little Salamancas. It's okay. We still have our
And you derive enjoyment from watching this. I mean, okay. Mango? What is that?
sentence, we anticipate he will be returned to his home country of El Salvador. The grand jury found that over the past 9 years, Abrego Garcia has played a significant role in an alien smuggling ring. They found this was his full-time job, not a contractor. He was a smuggler
he probably took
of
out
humans
contracts for
and
it.
children and women. He made over 100 trips, the grand jury found, smuggling people throughout our country. MS-13 members, violent gang terrorist organization members throughout our country. Thousands of illegal aliens were smuggled. This is especially disturbing because Abrego Garcia is also alleged with transporting minor children. The defendant traded the innocence of minor children for profit. There are even more disturbing facts
Again,
that the grand jury uncovered.
argument's not
It
that
is
he's a good
alleged this
guy
defendant
or
is
that
part of the
he's
same smuggling
not a
ring
criminal.
responsible for the death of
Literally
more than
just
50
the method in
migrants
which they
in
deported him.
2021 after the tractor trailer overturned in Mexico. This is part of that same ring. The defendant abused undocumented alien females, according to co-conspirators who were under his control while transporting them throughout our country. This defendant trafficked firearms and narcotics throughout our country on multiple occasions. They were using vehicles, SUVs, with added seats in the back, floors that had been ripped out, guns, narcotics, children, women, MS-13 members. That is what the grand jury found. A co-conspirator alleged that the defendant solicited nude photographs and videos of a minor. A co-conspirator also alleges the defendant played a role in the
I didn't know he
murder
was a
of a
Twitch
rival
streamer.
gang member's mother. These facts demonstrate Abrego Garcia is a danger to our community. We want to thank the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, our state and local partners, our acting U.S. Attorney Robert McGuire, and prosecutors from the Joint Task Force Vulcan. Questions?
Many.
Attorney General, the traffic stop that we've seen video of from Tennessee, where Abrego Garcia was first identified by the local authorities. At the time, the Homeland Security Department declined to take custody of him. What has happened in between that time and in between the time that the government has been arguing that he was not returnable from El Salvador? What has happened since?
That's a good
in this
question.
investigation that brought you here?
Yes, the question was in 2021, there was the traffic stop. And what has changed since then? What has changed is Donald Trump is now president of the United States and our borders are again secure. And thanks to the bright light that has been shined on Abrego Garcia, this investigation continued with actually amazing police work. And we were able to track this case and stop this international smuggling ring from continuing.
Fuck, so far
Recently
off.
found facts, right?
Yes,
Okay.
recently found facts.
To that point, can you just explain when this investigation was opened? The investigation in Tennessee, can you say when that investigation was opened?
Well, the grand jury indicted on May 21st. This investigation has been ongoing.
This case has been hotly debated here in Washington. In your mind, does this resolve that issue in terms of his deportation? And should this be seen in any way as complying with the judge's order to return him to the U.S. and the Supreme Court ruling that the U.S.
Hold on.
facilitate his return?
Real journalism coming in here.
The
Hold on.
investigation was opened? The investigation in Tennessee, can you say when that investigation was opened?
Well, the grand jury indicted on May 21st. This investigation has been ongoing.
This case has been hotly debated here in Washington. In your mind, does this resolve that issue in terms of his deportation? And should this be seen in any way as complying with the judge's order to return him to the U.S. and the Supreme Court ruling that the U.S. government should facilitate his return?
No.
There's a big difference
He's like-
between what the state of play was before the indictment and after the indictment. And so the reason why he is back and was returned was because there's an arrest warrant, which was presented to the government in El Salvador. So there's a big difference there. As far as whether it makes the ongoing litigation in Maryland moot, I would think so, but we don't know that. This, he just landed today.
Dodge and weave, brother. Dodge and weave. Really? That was a good question. Fucking hell. I mean, it's the same playbook we've seen every single day.
I want to confirm what you said earlier, that you're intending to prosecute him and keep him in an American prison if he's found guilty, and then would remove him after his sentence is over.
Correct. Yes.
Wow.
He will be
It's almost like
prosecuted
that's
in
the
our
fucking
country,
law.
sentenced in our country if convicted, and then returned after completion of his sentence.
Last one, Sadie, Wall Street Journal.
Okay. I have two. One's on topic, one's off topic. Maybe I misunderstood you, but you were mentioning, that he had some involvement in a murder, or was connected to groups that had, involved with this other smuggling ring. But to be clear, the only charges he's facing right now are the, human smuggling charges. Just that's the one offense. But the other things that you have talked about are not actually in the indictment?
No, co-conspirators allege that, and we were clear to say that. He is charged with, it's not only very serious charges of alien smuggling. And again, there were children involved in that. Human trafficking, not only in our country, but in our world, is very, very real. It's very dangerous. And as you saw recently in Virginia, the arrest we made of the MS-13 member, unrelated to this, we learned at that press conference, that's where they bring young children into our country and they start grooming them at middle school age to become MS-13 full-fledged members, commit violent crimes throughout our country. It is highly organized. It is very dangerous. And they are living throughout our country, but no more, because they are being arrested, they are being prosecuted, and being convicted and deported when appropriate. That's all for today.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. They're like, oh shit, the questions are trying to get at something that's real. Oh no, get me out of here. All right, reading time. Let's read the dang indictment. All right. The indictment. Filed May 21st, 2025. From in or around 2016 through in or around 2025, Kilmar Abrego Garcia and others known and unknown to the grand jury conspired to bring undocumented aliens to the United States from countries such as Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Ecuador, and elsewhere, ultimately passing through Mexico before crossing into Texas. The co-conspirators knew the undocumented aliens did not possess authorization to enter the United States. Kilmar Abrego Garcia and co-conspirators from El Salvador, Guatemala, Mexico, United States, and elsewhere communicated with each other using cellular telephones and social media applications to facilitate the unlawful transportation of undocumented aliens. The charge. This is the charge. This is the sentence. Yeah. Undocumented aliens without authorization to and throughout the U.S. Kilmar Abrego Garcia and co-conspirators collected financial payments from undocumented aliens for illegal transportation into and throughout the United States. Co-conspirators then knowingly transferred money between one another in an effort to conceal the origins of the payments. CC1, CC2, CC3, CC... Okay, so these are all the co-conspirators. All persons known to the grand jury were conspirators with Kilmar Abrego Garcia and were citizens of El Salvador and were not citizens of the U.S. CC6, also known as a person known to the grand jury, was a citizen of Guatemala and not a U.S. citizen. Abrego Garcia was a citizen of El Salvador and not a U.S. citizen, was living in the United States. Abrego Garcia was also a member and associate of the transnational criminal organization La Mara Salvatrucha, also known herein and herein referred to as MS-13. MS-13 was a criminal enterprise engaged in, among other activities, also a member and do they have to substantiate this, or is this just, can they just say this in the charge and refer to that one jury when he got pulled over? MS-13 was a criminal enterprise engaged in, okay, yeah, it's just background MS-13. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, as detailed further below, used his status in MS-13 to further his criminal activity. Over the course of the conspiracy, the co-conspirators knowingly and unlawfully transported thousands of undocumented aliens who had no authorization to be present. Okay, just trying to find anything novel here. Count one. Or is this? Yeah, okay. Count one. Conspiracy to transport aliens. The conspiracy between in or around 2016-2015, the Middle District, Tennessee, and elsewhere, Abrego Garcia did conspire and confederate with CCs 1 through 6 and others known and unknown to the grand jury to knowingly, in reckless disregard for the fact that certain aliens had come to, entered, and remain in the United States in violation of law, transport and move said aliens within the United States by means of transportation and otherwise furtherance of such violation of law, with intent to further the unlawful presence in the United States for private financial gain in violation of Title 8 and U.S. Code. Okay, so him and his co-conspirators drove people around. Manner and means. In around 2016, after meeting with each other, CC1 and Abrego Garcia agreed to work together to transport undocumented aliens for profit and financial gain. It'd be funny, well, funny in a relative sense, or like if he was an Uber driver or something. And that's what they're getting him here for. Co-conspirators outside the U.S. facilitated the travel. Okay. Across the border without inspection. Co-conspirator 6 was one of the primary sources of supply of undocumented aliens for the conspiracy, and many of the undocumented aliens supplied by CC6 included MS-13 members and associates. Abrego Garcia and CC1 originally picked up the undocumented aliens in Houston, Texas area shortly after the aliens had unlawfully crossed the southern border. Abrego Garcia and CC1 transported the undocumented aliens from Texas to other parts of the United States. Okay, so yeah, I probably wasn't an Uber driver, but it was a fun headcanon for like a second. During the course of the conspiracy, CC1 was incarcerated for alien smuggling and was deported from the U.S. During that period, CC2, at the direction of CC1, began working with Abrego Garcia to transport undocumented aliens for profit. After CC1 was released from prison and deported, CC1 illegally re-entered the United States and returned to work with Kilmar Abrego Garcia, CC2, and other co-conspirators to transport undocumented aliens for profit. Transported firearms, narcotics, solid charge. This is all count one. Damn. MS-13 members were with him as charged by this. Alleged, I should say. Okay. Required payment. Treated him with respect. Okay. Western Union, yeah. Transported. So CC3 did that. CC4 and 5. Received and transferred thousands of dollars. Criminal proceeds. Damn. If. And this isn't even the issue. So, this isn't as, I guess, substantive. Is there... Okay, there's 2 charges, but not related to the... I guess... Let's see if... There's a gaggle with the press. Do that. So what happens now? They put him in the a U.S. jail. He goes through this trial and then gets deported again. So it wouldn't be that tough if they did it right the first time, I guess.
It's a lot of people. So we visited the military course just to see if we could fix it up and make it nice. The budgetary situation takes some years to get something approved, so we're going to take a look at that. It's 2 courses, very nice, but they need a lot of work.
Golf course.
A lot of work. And if we can fix them up, the military, they're for the military, we can fix them up, we're going to do that.
Mr. President, did you speak with Bukele directly to facilitate the return of Abrego Garcia?
I don't want to say that, but he's returned.
Did you have any conversations with?
He should have never had to be returned. I mean, you take a look at what's happened with him. You take a look at what they found in the grand jury and everywhere else. I thought Pam Bondi did a great job today.
Was this your call to bring him back to the United States?
I don't want to say that.
Mr. President, you posted...
Does that count?
Either way, it's a disaster. He's a whole disaster.
Is that... Like, it's a little scuffed, but I got it. Let's go. Clip it and ship it. Hold on. Does that count? Are we counting that? Or do I have to do it like the purely right way? What do we think? That counts? All right. That's it. Trick Shot Simulator has been completed. Feels good, man. Oh, wait, they're gonna allege that that's a... Damn. This stupid 2 cards one. Oh, this one took me 10 minutes, not 10 hours. See if I can get this in under 8 hours. This game's fun, man.
Look at him with his antics. Not good. And for the Democrats to have backed him, this was not the man from Maryland, this wonderful father from Maryland. This is a pretty bad guy.
Mr. President, you posted yesterday that a good way to save money would be to cancel some of Musk's contracts. How seriously are you considering that?
Well, take a look at everything. I look at everything. He's got a lot of money. He gets a lot of subsidies.
Musk gets like, what, 40 billion in subsidies? Or is it more than that?
Only if it's fair for him and for the country, I would certainly think about it, yeah, but it has to be fair.
Mr. President, would you consider reopening investigations into his companies? There are a bunch of investigations.
I didn't know that they had any, but
you closed them.
I would just let them speak for themselves. I had no idea. Excuse me. I have no idea
Jackass.
whether or not they.
I'm not doing this game.
And what's your view on Elon Musk as of today? I mean, have you heard from him at all? Is your team?
Let me go to my Truth Social account and see if there's anything cooking
working
here.
on Iran, working on so many. I'm not thinking about Elon. You know, I just wish him well. He's,
on the China talk, sir, there's a meeting coming up with Secretary Bessent and Secretary Lutnick. What do you hope to see? What do you hope to see from those talks in London, sir, with
we're
China?
very far advanced on the China deal. We wanted clarification. We had to have clarification. A little bumpy up here. We had to have clarification, and that's what we're really having the meeting about. We had a very good talk. I talked to President Xi for, I guess, more than 2 hours. We had a very good talk. It's a complicated deal, but it's a deal that's
big win over AP.
Bring us a lot of money and a lot of everything else. And we get along very well with President Xi and with China.
On Mr. Musk's contracts, do you feel like the U.S. can survive without them? Obviously, you contribute a lot when it comes to defense and space, and that relationship has been important for quite some time.
The U.S. can survive without.
Oh! Wait, oh no. Wait, seriously?
Almost anybody.
And do you,
except me.
Did you have any concerns about his drug use when he was working for you?
I don't want to comment on his drug use. I don't know. I don't know what his status is. I read an article in the New York Times. I thought it was, frankly, it sounded very unfair to me.
So 2 Trump appointees said, yep, you can borrow them. Oh my God. Is there a opinion? Durham. I don't know how to search these things. No, wait. Rationale, maybe? It's okay, because I'm not reading 55 pages. Unless I am. What is... No, Latin, man. By decision of judge or of a court in unanimous agreement. That's not true, though. A concurring statement. Okay. That the motion to stay pending appeal be granted in part. The district court's preliminary injunction entered April 8th, 2025 is stayed pending further order of this court, except to the extent that the PI is applicable to the East Room. So the East Room is where? East Room, White House. Is that where the press briefings are? The fuck is... What? What is the East Room used for? Because this says the district court's preliminary injunction is stayed. Injunction stayed. What does that mean? A stay of an injunction means is paused. Okay, so he can bar them from everywhere except the East Room? What the fuck goes on in the East Room? What happens in the East Room of the White House? Use? Large gatherings and official events. So the AP is allowed back everywhere except to film large events? So they can cover news but not gatherings? I guess that would be the delineator? Big suit guy. Yeah, I'm liking it. It's a really comfy suit, too. So I'm having a grand old time. All right, I'm going to start reading this. I'll let you know if I pick up something here.
You said earlier today that Mr. Musk had a problem. What did you mean by that? And did you misjudge him by bringing...
I don't want to talk about problems. I think that I think the United States had problems, and if you look at the numbers today, the numbers were unbelievable. The numbers were incredible. The numbers that came up today, the stock market went way up. The country's doing really well. Almost, I think, in a very short period of time, you're going to be saying doing better than it's ever done before. We have hundreds of plants coming in, a lot of jobs are being created. That's what happened this morning. You saw the jobs. And the nice part, they're not government jobs. They're jobs of people coming in and doing other things, including the leisure, hotel and leisures. Good stuff. A lot of good things are happening with our country. We're taking in billions of dollars of tariff money. The money is pouring in. And it hasn't even started yet, really, relatively. It's
So they're barred from private spaces, but not public spaces, so maybe I have it inverted?
we're going to have a very successful country very soon, and the stock market is seeing that. We have, and I've been saying it, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, the hottest country. And if you think about it, 6 months ago we had the coldest country. We had a country that was a disaster, and we've done it very quickly. Okay, go ahead.
Mr. President, on the One Big Beautiful Bill, so your critics, often your critics...
I don't have too many critics, because, you know, honestly, I don't know of anybody that's going to vote against it. Maybe Rand Paul or somebody, but, you know, they always vote against it. But I actually think that over the last 24 hours, it's even solidified. We have tremendous support.
So just the critics that want to talk about the bill, they often fail to mention that your tariffs are actually offsetting a lot, you know, the debt in itself. Yeah. I believe the CBO said 2.8 trillion over the next 10 years. So what do you have to say to that?
We got tremendous reviews, and CBO, who never gives good, basically it's a Democrat group, and we're getting tremendous reviews on the bill. We cut
a trillion? Wait, sorry. 1 sec.
I believe the CBO said 2.8 trillion over the next 10 years.
Yeah, so originally it was like 3.8. Now it's 2.8, I guess. They dropped it by a trilly, a calm little trilly.
So what do you have to say to that?
We got tremendous reviews, and CBO, who never gives good, basically it's a Democrat group, and we're getting tremendous reviews on the bill. We cut 1.6 trillion, not billion, trillion out of the budget, and yet we haven't affected anybody. We're going to save and totally cherish Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. The Democrats are going to destroy it. They'll destroy it. We're going to save it and make it stronger than ever.
You got to have a big old enterprise to be operating in trillies.
Before.
Maybe
so
Zimbabwe.
Medicare, Medicaid, they just make statements. Oh, he's going to talk. We're not touching it other than waste, fraud, and abuse.
So the work requirements are being put in place. The gripe with the work requirements isn't the idea that you should do some work if you're able to. The gripe is the implementation would require a massive amount of paperwork that states don't have the infrastructure for, and you'd spend a ton of money processing and evaluating people's work statuses and monitoring work statuses. And you'd have to balance the increased manpower required and just like hours required versus the amount you save off, you know, kicking people off Medicare, Medicaid for not working.
That was my next question. On Russia-Ukraine, did the Ukraine drone strikes against the bombers inside Russia, the airfields, did that change your view at all of what Zelensky, the cards he has?
Well, they gave.
I like that question. Did that change your viewpoint of the cards he has? Remember, in the Oval Office meeting, he's like, you don't have the cards. Which door is the closest? What? Oh, in my background? Which door is the closet? Neither of them. That's the one directly behind me, that's my bathroom. And the one over there is no, I'm not in the closet. I'm just in my room. Plot twist, yeah. Yeah, no. I got my main door and my bathroom behind me. My closet is over here. Lots of doors in this room. I'm a big door guy. Anyways.
Putin a reason to go in and bomb the hell out of him last night. That's the thing I didn't like about it. When I saw it, I said, here we go. Now it's going to be a strike. You know, I did something that people don't talk about, and I don't talk about very much, but we solved a big problem, a nuclear problem, potentially, with India and with Pakistan. And I spoke to Pakistan, I spoke to India. They have really great leaders. But they were going at it, and they could have gone at it nuclear, both nuclear countries, strong nuclear countries. And I talked about trade, and I said, we're not doing trade if you guys are going to be throwing bombs at each other. And they both stopped. And I stopped that war immediately. That was going, as you know, that was going much further. And hopefully not to nuclear, but it might have gone to nuclear. In fact, it might have gone to nuclear in the next round. But we stopped it. And I'd like to comment the leaders of both countries, Pakistan and India.
Are you worried that there might be a nuclear breakout with Russia-Ukraine? Are you worried?
Yes, exactly. You know, two countries deciding, you know what, maybe we don't want to nuke each other. That's all Trump. Yes, exactly. Sheep poster. Wow. What, you've cracked the code.
I hope not. I think it's a war that would have never happened. If I were president, that wouldn't have happened. I certainly hope not.
Mr. President, Senator Hawley said he had spoken with you about potentially removing cuts that were in the House passed bill to Medicaid that would hurt Trump voters in rural areas. What are your thoughts about that?
We did speak about that. We're really talking about waste, fraud, and abuse. And
well, yeah, it also doesn't say make America great again. Maybe because it's already so great. I don't know.
Senator Hawley's a great senator. He's a good guy. And I did speak to him, and we want to make sure that doesn't hurt anybody, you know, because it is about waste, fraud, and abuse. That's the only thing, and everybody wants that.
On Russia-Ukraine, where are you at today with the Senate sanction bills? There's been some reporting that the White House is, you know, considering.
Yeah, no, same.
We're going to see. I mean, if I think Russia will not be making a deal or stopping the bloodshed, 5 and 6.
That's why I only wear visors.
Even I've been saying 5 and 6, and now it's more. 1,000 a week, soldiers being killed, and people being killed. Not just soldiers, people being killed, but largely soldiers being killed. Yeah, I'd use it if it's necessary. And they've really given me that option.
Are you trying to get the Senate to water it down from its current version?
Dude, when I wear a beanie, I either look like I look like Joe Pesci in Home Alone.
I haven't spoken about it. They have a bill. It's going to be up to me. It's my option. They've made it that way, and it would save a lot of time if that happened. So I'm okay with it. I haven't decided to use it. It's a very strong bill.
Mr. President, you gave Elon Musk
Water bandit.
the White House a key.
Oh, yes.
Symbolically to the White House
Sorry,
and
that
the
took me a sec.
administration at large. I think that's what. Would you like him to give that back?
No, I don't take things back. No,
What about the Tesla?
I gave him a key. He tried very hard. But the Tesla, I haven't thought about it.
You haven't thought about it, my ass.
How do you think his Doge did at the end of the day with the savings that?
Oh, I think it helped us a lot. I think it helped our thinking, and it's not finished at all. We've basically taken it over, and we're doing a job. Many of those people remain with us, and they're going to remain with us. They're very good. It's terrific. We saved hundreds of billions of dollars. It's terrific, and it's going further.
Recently.
I mean, I'd give you the answer actually at the end of 2 years, because a lot of it is out into the future.
Bobby
but it
hats.
was a big saving and a good mindset.
What are you going to do about the Tesla? Are you going to keep it, or are you going to?
I haven't thought about it.
Do you have any plans to
I
contact?
hope he does well with Tesla.
Do you have any plans to speak with Mr. Musk? This was one of your closest advisors for.
Sounds like you know all the references, though. No, I'm just fucking. I mean, it's kind of a funny movie. I mean, overplayed, absolutely, but yeah, well, no, I mean, I don't just gone on. It's a Christmas movie, man. It's part of the classic rotation. All right, you got to do it. Die Hard. Oh my God, you're one of those fellas. Come on. I like the Die Hard movies, and sure, they could be or could not be Christmas movies, but like, I don't know.
I don't have any plans. Somebody made a mistake.
Elf is fine. Elf is... It's fine.
A lot of reporters have been calling me. I didn't call any reporter. A lot of reporters, they ask me the same question. No, I don't. I'm not even thinking about that.
There apparently were
Yeah,
these efforts,
exactly.
This is what I read, to bring
It's
you
like an
guys,
Adam
you and
Sandler
Elon
movie.
back together. So those efforts are, where are they?
No, there are efforts. I mean, I've been asked about it, but I'm not really interested in that. I'm really interested in the country and solving problems.
Arthur
including war
Christmas is really
problems
good.
in,
I
very
do
far
like
away
Arthur
lands.
Christmas.
A lot of people being killed. You know, when I left, we had no problem. We didn't have wars. We defeated ISIS
Yeah.
100%. Iran was broke. There was no Hamas problem. There was no Hezbollah problem. Israel wouldn't have happened, in other words.
Israel
Russia,
wasn't...
Ukraine.
That's a good soundbite. That's a great sound.
We defeated ISIS 100%. Iran was broke. There was no Hamas problem. There was no Hezbollah problem. Israel wouldn't have happened, in other words.
Like, I know what he's referencing, obviously, but Israel wouldn't have happened. Yeah, I'll let that slide. Trevor's just built like... Yeah, exactly. His massive aura.
Russia, Ukraine wouldn't have happened. We had no inflation. And by the way, we have no inflation now. And if we had a good Fed,
No, I know, I
you would
figured.
lower rates. And
No. So basically, on my mod view, it said like, "Hey, this could be an offensive message. Do you want to let it allow it?" I was like, "Yeah."
you know what? If inflation happened in a year from now or 2 years, let them raise rates. But we're going out for long-term debt or short-term debt. We have a lot of debt coming due because Biden
Yeah.
had all short-term
Any
debt.
self-respecting conservative should be offended.
And
And
we
some
would
are
get
by
a
the big
lower
beautiful
rate
bill.
and a lower interest rate if this guy would lower rates. We get a lower interest rate. It's unbelievable. And he's worried about inflation. If he worries about inflation any longer, all he has to do is get the lower rate, let us go out, borrow at a much lower rate, much lower. You could go down a point or two. We'll go out, borrow them, and if in 2 years inflation comes back, he raises rates. But he keeps them.
Okay, when is the next Fed meeting? Also, the rates just interbank. And it's you raise rates to slow the economy. You lower them to stimulate it. Wait, what? June 17th. All right, 10 days is when the next thing is. What's the so for today? SOFR's at 4.25. That's high. And as inflation goes down, it'll stabilize. Shame Elon pussied out of threat. That would be crazy.
The same. It's insane.
What's your next Fed chair? At this, are you already thinking about who your next Fed chair would be? I know it's 2026 when his term expires. So you're already thinking about it.
It's coming out very soon.
Who are you thinking about for that?
I could tell you, but I don't think I'll.
What do you make?
I have a pretty good idea.
Kevin,
what do you
Warsh, one of those
very
people?
highly thought.
What do you make of the Ayatollah saying that they have to enrich? They have to be able to
No,
enrich.
they won't be enriching. If they enrich, then
Honestly, for this fight, I think I've got to go on Elon's side. It pains me to say, but either side would. I mean, since the tiff started over the big beautiful bill, and the big beautiful bill is a disaster, I hope that it ends with the big beautiful bill not passing, or at least being seriously changed. Yeah, I mean, I'm here for the drama, obviously. Well, someone came in here, what's his name? Lord Avil, came in here and asked, who do you like or hate less? And I thought about it. I was like, it's got to be Elon, I think, because like Tesla and SpaceX definitely net good. Doge stupid, but Trump is just net bad. Yeah, it'll cost $2 to $3.8 trillion. So yeah, that's.
Then we're going to have to do it the other way, and I don't really want to do it the other way, but we're going to have no choice.
What's your latest?
There's not going to be impeachment.
Just one more on Abrego Garcia, sir, because this is the big news for today. Just months ago, it seemed like from El Salvador to even your administration that there was no chances that he would be returned. So can you just explain to the American people what sort of happened to facilitate his return in the last few
DOJ made a decision. I think their decisions have been very, very good. And maybe they just said, look, all of these people, these judges, they want to try and run the country. The judges are a local judge trying to run the country. The man has a horrible past, and I could see a decision being made. Bring him back, show everybody how horrible this guy is, and frankly, we have to do something because the judges are trying to take the place of a president that won in a landslide, and that's not supposed to be the way it is.
I know these.
So I could see bringing him back. I could see it either way, bringing him back or not bringing him back, but by bringing him back, you show how bad he is. He's a bad guy.
On China, sir, did President Xi agree to restart the flow
I'm sorry. We're ending right now.
Yeah, but sometimes under a stress test, shit breaks.
Magnets?
Say it what?
Did President Xi agree to?
So long as it doesn't break, yeah. Limited editions?
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
everybody.
Mr. President. Thank you for coming back.
Oh my god. Are they sold out? No. What am I gonna do? It will look AI generated. And no, what? Wait, hold on. Why do they make him skinny in all of these? I don't necessarily know if it's AI. Yeah, I know. You'll see them in if you ever go to the Jersey Shore, just anywhere that has tacky shit. I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, exactly. Oh, Jesus. Oh, all right, let's get back to. Oh. We get back to this. I want to finish this, see if there's any tidbits. So, I don't think he gives a shit. It's just the thing he uses to drive up deportation numbers at any cost or opportunity. Well, no, because this wouldn't increase deportations. This is barring travel visas from countries where people have higher overstay rates. So it's not even deportations. It's just never even having them in the country. That's why I think it's, anti-Arab, sentiment or racism or something. Ironic. Yeah, the South African thing is stupid. It's just, I'd probably attribute that to Elon being in his ear. But it could be wrong. That was for the media. I don't know. I don't know. Anyways.
The drug trafficking organizations in Mexico for...
Okay, so, sorry. One more thing I'll say. The AP is banned from, or the injunction is stayed, so for now the AP is not allowed to interview Trump in the Oval Office or be present in the Oval Office or Air Force One, but they are allowed in the Brady briefing room, I think that's what it's called, and the East room? Right, not banned. Right, that's what I meant. It's all right. Cool. I mean, what did we expect? I'm gonna piss and then we're gonna do drama slap. All right, for a second. I just want to play some Minecraft. Yeah, I mean, what did you expect? It's fucking Joe Rogan. Also, if you want to watch these streams on YouTube, subscribe to me on Dustin Gray Live. The Protect Our Parks are funny. Oz Perlman? Who's that? It's a magician. Okay. Awesome. Hard-hitting journalism. Guy Fieri? I didn't know that guy was still alive. Whatever. We're not watching more Joe Rogan. I can't. Fuck. I want to pee, but I also want to find another good thing to watch. I don't want to listen to Hexaf at all. Oh, wait, what? Okay, you watch Loner Brooks means you're saying okay, good. Loner Box is really good. I want to talk to him on stream at some point, but I DM'd him. I don't think he's gonna get back to me. I might just like sit in his Discord at some point. But when we do the international politics segment, maybe we'll try and get to Loner Boxes. Yeah, that's a good emote, alright? He might entertain it. Or you could just play odd or play... Yeah, that's true. I'm surprised Musk deleted the... No, that's what I DM'd him. We'll see. What's he covering now anyways?
Calling tariffs an existential crisis.
We do love Loner Bugs.
Of this conflict.
Okay. Okay, I tried to watch this Piers Morgan thing, but I was like, my IP knowledge is cursory. I'd love to know more, and oh god. All right. I'm liking the little snapshots I'm seeing. I'm gonna use the restroom. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come. I'm back. Oh, wow. Okay, I mean, we don't have to watch, again, it's not really about the fucking Piers Morgan shit. It's Dave Smith versus a real Zion, like, super, like, I think, whatever. We'll start watching. Oh, he's watching Willie Mack's video? Okay, I wanted to watch Willie Mack's video. Fuck off. Don't steal the content I was gonna steal.
American voters used to be steadfast in their support for Israel, but that support is now fading quickly. Right. There's a growing consensus that Israel's war in Gaza
ignore the Piers
is,
Morgan
to quote former
element
Israeli
of Piers
Prime Minister
Morgan.
Ehud Barak, indiscriminate, unrestrained, brutal, and criminal. The UK, France, and Canada, all allies of Israel, now say it's intolerable, unacceptable.
I got to admit, though,
I'm
not infallible.
Way beyond
The dog pile's a little
itself,
fun.
is increasingly centered on whether it's committing war crimes.
Exactly.
What have I said that disagrees with Ehud Olmert? Mr. Definitely not a new account, Batman. What are you talking about? We watched the entire.
Wait, hit me
Olmert
with the
thing
math
and agreed with,
equation.
like,
all of it. I don't know. Okay.
The United States should wield its influence and power to make it stop. And in the court of public opinion, This is much about morality and humanity as it is about legal expertise. Well, my next two guests have been hugely influential advocates for either side.
Yeah,
Dave
they made
Smith
some math.
is a libertarian commentator, a comedian, and the host of the Part of the Problem podcast. Natasha Hausdorff is a barrister, international lawyer, and a passionate supporter of Israel. Well, let's welcome you both to Uncensored. Dave Smith, I finally lost it, really, with any attempt to try and defend what Israel was doing, having been a pretty steadfast defender of it.
Hold on. Stream's going to buffer a bit while my Minecraft world loads.
Its right to defend itself from...
Give it a moment.
what happened on October the 7th. But when you launch a blockade for 3 months at an already utterly...
Yeah, it does, which is why, like, Piers Morgan's not a good ref on this topic. Loner is, so...
tormented civilian population who were already struggling to eat.
They found the body of Mohammed Sinwar. Oh! Interesting. Was he a defender?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Where's my...
Yeah, because all of his first viral videos were
OBS,
him making people squirm over condemning Hamas, no? What are you talking about?
God damn it. Hold on.
And you can see from the scenes that we've seen in the last 48 hours that they are starving people, prepared to risk death to get their hands on meager amounts of food. When a government like Israel does that, at the same time as it's simultaneously bombarding those people night after night after night, albeit with the crucial caveat they always put in that they are targeting Hamas solely and that everything around Hamas is collateral.
No one in the mainstream or online left or right literally engages in productive discussion. Yeah, the discussions aren't productive in the slightest. Y is inversely proportional to x cubed. When x equals 12, find a formula for y in terms of w. Do you mean x? Give you the answer in its simplest form. Y inverse. Oh fuck, the inverses. I haven't. Dude, that's what, algebra 2 in high school? So wait, so that means y is just log base 2 of x? Find a formula for y in terms of w. No w? Or no, you did mean w? Okay. Okay. So, log base 2 of 2 is 1. So 14 log... Okay. Formula for y in terms of w. So, what, log base 2... 14 log base 2 of w? Something like that.
Damage. But to me, this reached a point where it became clearly disproportionate. And that's a view that clearly the UK has reached, the French have reached, many people in America have reached. You certainly haven't come to that thought process in the last few months. You've been saying that for a long time. The question I have for you, what happens though now? We are where we are.
There it is.
Netanyahu and his government are in charge. Nobody seems to be stopping them. What happens?
Well, you could have elected a different president, for one. If you don't like what Israel's doing right now, which coincidentally seems to have this flip that Pierce has had, and I think this disapproval of what Israel's doing now, which coincides with a lot of people, like this is, I mean, to be fair, I was opposing a lot of their strategy, like even in the last summer, but
humble abode.
The fact that this direction specifically has turned a lot of people against them just happens to coincide with Trump giving them a green light to do anything they want. So I mean,
yeah,
mate,
that's another thing too. Like, you know, prior to Gideon's chariot and all that, support for Hamas was going down. You know, the ceasefire did happen, even if short-lived. Hold on. That's not going to be good for me. Okay. And then Trump was like, actually, Netanyahu's my best friend, and now support for Hamas is gaining. Where's that dang spider? So, was I right or not?
That ain't no coincidence. Fuck.
Well, that is a good question, and I don't know for sure
need
what
a
the
zombie,
answer is.
goddammit.
By the way, it's been great to watch your
It's nice that they're finally
evolution on this
spawning down
topic,
here,
Pierce.
though.
It's good that you joined us. Later is better than
Well,
never.
yeah, just to
And-
clarify, I would say this: I don't want to join a side, right? I was in the Middle East last week by chance. A lot of people come up to me going, "Thank you for switching sides," and I
Write
said,
it out
I
right.
haven't switched
I'm
sides.
happy to do the
I've
math
always
in
tried
my
to
head.
be a fair-minded,
Live.
impartial journalist doing the job a journalist should do, which is challenging everybody. I think I've had more guests on.
I was gonna
both
say, you
sides,
can't
actually,
solve
held more
three
guests
variables with-
than any other show in the world of this kind. So, you know, I do think it's important. I don't want to be seen as taking a side. What I feel now, though,
formula
or what
for
I feel,
why?
I think it's an important clarification. But what I think is important now is that this has gone too far, and I can see that very clearly.
Yes. Okay. So I didn't mean to box you into a side, just making the point that you have come to the conclusion that what Israel's doing is indefensible. And I thought it was fascinating and shocking watching you grill the Israeli ambassador, who simply cannot tell you or even ballpark how many kids they have killed in this whole thing. Yeah, look, I mean, I think what Israel, you know, to your broader question of where does this all end up going, there's almost two kind of simultaneous wars in a sense that are going on. There's the actual, you know, control of power,
X-cubed. Sorry,
in which
I'm
case
stupid.
Israel's done phenomenally well.
Why is directly proportional to W? Okay, so X. When W equals 4, Y equals 48. Y is inversely proportional to X cubed. Okay, so when fuck. Okay, just a triple system of equations. Okay, I might need some. Are you meant to be able to do this in your head, or?
Over the
Gotta
last
grab a
couple
sheet
years.
of
I mean,
paper.
Israel still has the support of the most powerful governments in the world, damn near unconditionally, if not purely
the zombies
unconditionally.
there.
They've been very successful in terms of taking out Hezbollah
Come with
leaders. They've been very successful in terms of destroying the Gaza Strip. They've been successful in getting the regime change that they've wanted for many years in Syria. However, simultaneously,
I find my
Well, God, he's a fucking
TI-84.
Assad conspiracy theory. Oh God. Really, they really desperately wanted regime change. I'm pretty sure they allowed Assad to have those weapons. Okay? They allowed Assad to have those weapons. They didn't allow Jelani to have them.
Fuck, where's... Wait, oh, it's in here. No, wait,
What do you
shit.
think, Dave? Go figure.
Cornered myself, get out of my way.
While that's going on, global opinion has drastically changed of Israel to a degree that would have been unimaginable just a few years ago. And despite whatever arguments might be made
your ass
for
back here, you
whether
freak.
this meets a genocide or doesn't meet a genocide, or whether, you know, as two former Israeli prime ministers who have come out
Thank
recently
you.
and said that war crimes are being committed, wherever you fall on
He's
that,
referring to Barak and Olmert, right? Olmert was asked about, I don't know about Barak, but Olmert was asked about genocide. and
probably,
he said
but it
flat
is a
no.
bit funny.
Oh, this guy actually drops good stuff, I think, maybe.
the fact is that the debate is now over
I
whether
need this guy
Israel
to
is
be a little
committing a
higher.
genocide or not. And that is something that all of us should take a step back and appreciate how profound it is. Especially amongst young people, in the future, I don't believe Israel will ever be viewed the same as it was by my parents' generation. And so what does that mean? You know, as you mentioned earlier,
Yeah, I
Pierce,
can do
that's
it.
right. This is a big
Fuck
part
off.
of how wars
What is the
end,
reach of
is
this
when public
motherfucker?
support evaporates. We will see where all of this goes, but it is a very
Fucking
dangerous
die.
situation,
Oh,
and
God.
it is
This isn't
certainly profound
Get
to
me
the
out.
degree that it has
There we go.
changed the impression of Israel on the
Fuck that.
global stage.
Yeah. Natasha,
Better
look,
recover some
if
health.
I was an Israeli, a regular Israeli,
Iron Farm's
I
going
would be
online,
pretty
boys.
concerned that people like me have come to the place we've come to in this debate. You know, I've been harangued by pro-Palestinians for a long time for being too supportive of Israel's right to defend itself. Harangued, abused, mocked, threatened, all of the things that come.
I probably shouldn't
with
have built
that
this
in a war.
underground.
But I just felt I couldn't do anything else to speak out. When you launch a 3-month blockade against a people already suffering in the way that these Palestinians have been suffering, and I'm not talking about Hamas, I'm talking about the innocent civilians in Gaza. It's a population of 2
I also
million,
gotta make
with
one
half of
sure
them
one doesn't
under
spawn
18.
up here. I'm trying to
More than
save your life,
20,000
you
children
fucking
have been
jackass.
killed,
God,
even if the
fuck
UK
off.
ambassador has no idea what that number is, but knows exactly how many Hamas terrorists have been killed, oddly. I would just be concerned if I was an average Israeli.
She's grumpy.
The people that supported us after the
gotta find
horrors
another
of
way
October the
in.
7th are now beginning to go against, certainly in my case, the Israeli government, not the people of Israel, not Jewish people. They will always have my support. But this Israeli government is out of control. We saw and heard from the words of Smodrich last week, the finance minister, a very clear mission statement to clear out all the Palestinians from Gaza. That is a form of genocide, whatever. You're a lawyer. You'll probably tell me it doesn't meet the exact legal criteria of the word genocide. But if you're clearing out an entire people based on their ethnicity from where they live, that to me and most people around the world who don't have a horse in this race is a form of genocide.
I mean, there's
What do you say
colloquial
to that?
versus legal, I
Well,
guess.
Piers, I'm particularly glad of the opportunity to come on, not before time, and address so much of this misinformation, which seems to be at the core, not just of your shift, but what is a marked shift in the public discussion of this topic. And it is, of course, because of the abuse, the haranguing, the mockery, and the threats and the intimidation that so many people are falling into the easy line.
Well, that's not
She's
why
gonna, that's oh shit, fuck her. Why would she say something like that? That's so stupid. Because
Factorize the
there's no way
following.
Pierce doesn't realize that as like you're telling him that's why he changed his mind. Like fucking hell.
Let me grab my notebook. Which is
And there ain't nothing
somewhere.
worse than a sensitive Pierce Morgan, okay? Because now you've just asked him to cut you off. You've just been like, listen, you're going to make him defend himself. Like,
I've changed my
No,
mind.
well,
I don't give a damn about who threatens me or how they threaten me or how they
yeah,
mock and
because
abuse
now
me.
he's getting fucking attacked by Yellow Ribbon Twitter. They're fucking shitting on him now, calling him a Qatari agent and shit. I
was getting all that long before this war, so I get it on pretty much any debate I ever had. That's fine.
So
I'm a big boy, so please don't misconstrue
Yes,
anything
please don't.
that I have done in terms of a pivot in the way I view this with anything to do with being threatened into it,
No, you've been
bullied into it,
clear,
or
of course.
cajoled into it, because that would be ridiculous.
Piers, you've been clear that this is because of the change in the narrative around this. And I hope I'll have the
some
opportunity,
equations.
and you'll allow me the opportunity to address some of this false information. And there is a great deal of it. It starts with this notion that Israel imposed an entire blockade on aid,
Wait, what do you mean
which
the
is
what are
being
the
put forward
slashes?
without the context of the fact that in the hostage release
Wait,
deal,
can you
which
retype
preceded
that?
it
Make it
immediately,
more clear.
there were over 25,000 trucks of aid that were facilitated into the Gaza Strip by Israel. The estimates that I have seen is that that should have been a stockpile of between 5 to 6 months of food and humanitarian assistance. Some estimates are in the region of 8 months.
So
where
what,
did that
60?
aid go? That is the question I
Okay,
would expect
thanks.
reasonable people without an agenda here to be asking.
63K
Where did that aid go
squared
if all of these claims of starvation
plus
are to be
14.
taken seriously? The reality here is that there is no
Right, no, I
Israeli-imposed
gotcha.
starvation on the Gaza Strip,
Okay,
that there
give
has
me a moment
been
here.
facilitated over the course of
But
this
that is
war.
simply not true. I'm sorry.
Well-
no, hang on. If you've ever felt
Oh,
like
yes,
you're
get
being
the
watched
ads. Let's
online,
go.
it's unfortunately because you are. Hundreds of companies, so-called data brokers, watch
So
and
this
record
is-
everything you do on the internet. Even if you're using incognito mode or private tabs, they can still access every purchase you make, every search you type, and much more.
Fuck.
Your data can be sold to advertisers, government agencies, or insurance companies who could use it to charge you more.
Wow.
You could stand by and
So you
accept all
do
of this,
the-
or you could reclaim your privacy, as I have done for many years
Yeah.
So
with
just
ExpressVPN.
an implied plus 0
That
B
redirects
squared, I would
100%
imagine.
of your online traffic
Where's the cat
through
food?
secure
No, we're in
servers.
VPN now,
No
boys.
data brokers and no third parties can see what you do. ExpressVPN also hides
We're getting
your
forced
IP
staying
address,
fresh.
without which there is no way of
K
tracking
out.
you and no point invading your privacy in the first place.
So we've got
A new
K
feature called
times
ID Defender
63K
is free to all US customers. ID Defender scours the internet to remove your
14B.
information from the files of data brokers. This is the #1 rated VPN by experts at CNET, PC World, and The Verge. And right
Wow.
now, you can
Why
get an
don't I
extra
have
4
it?
months
I can't
of
believe I don't have
ExpressVPN
it. The fuck,
for
Pierce?
free.
It's been so long.
Scan
Why didn't you
the
tell me
QR
earlier?
code that we're showing on the screen. Or go
My
to
only regret is not buying it
expressvpn.com
sooner.
/peers to get 4 extra months for free. That's Express.
It's Israeli owned. Listen, Pierce Morgan. That's a very Pierce thing to do.
VPN.com/peers. Now, on with the show. When Israel and when the Israeli government, let me phrase that correctly, when the Israeli government ordered 3 months ago a blockade of food and aid going into Gaza,
Yes.
that is a deliberate state-sponsored form of starving a populace.
No, it is not, because it
That's
was
exactly
done...
what happened. That's why they look like they're
No.
starving.
Would the factor just be K times 63K plus 14B? Or do you want to take out like
That's why they're risking death
Yes, you've asked me
to
on
get
here.
to scrabbling bits of food.
Oh, wait.
You've
Okay,
asked
hold
me
on.
on here
Sorry.
to
I could
answer
take
these
out
questions.
9.
I can challenge you.
And I just explained that blockade, which was
7.
imposed
Take
in
out
order to prevent Hamas continuing to fuel
So
its
it'd
war
be
machine
7K
by selling additional aid, that it was diverting, and we'll come on to the way that
9K
diversion is going to be prevented in
plus
the future, I
2B.
hope. But the fact of the matter is that this blockade was instituted in the context of there being 5
Okay, so is it just 9K times 9K, then, or 7K times 9K plus 2B?
5 to 6 months, maybe even 8 months of aid that was facilitated into the Gaza Strip. And throughout, if you'll allow me to finish this point, throughout the war, the volume of aid that Israel has facilitated into Gaza, and this is not being reported by the international media, but it is available, publicly available information published by COGAT, over 1,700,000 tons of aid which has been facilitated into the Gaza Strip, which is more than required for
money.
the civilian population. The study that was conducted...
Let me try that first.
Why are they so hungry then?
The study that was
Hang
conducted...
on, why are they so hungry?
May I finish this point and I'll
Yeah,
come
but
on to answer the
why are they
question.
so hungry?
Well, there are...
Why are they stampeding over each other,
We're not
risking
going to-
death to get at scraps of food? I don't understand. If they're all so well nourished and
Fucking
Israel...
Dave
Why-
Smith is loving it now. He's about to come.
X is directly proportional. So
behave
okay.
so impeccably properly in terms of supplying enough food for months on end, why do they all look like they're
X,
starving to death and are prepared to risk actually dying to get at food?
What you are basing your assessment on, I'm afraid...
It's what I'm saying.
Don't get diverted. She's gonna get diverted and say that she thinks because this woman is fucking.
Equals
She's got a lot of
inverse.
problems. I think she is what she's the one who said that. What was it? Why are we seeing a starved out child next to a perfectly well fed mother? That was her quote, wasn't it?
W.
I think she believes that it's either kids with like
Squared.
special food needs that couldn't get satisfied by like aid anyway, or she's
So-
saying that like the families, like some parents are starving out their
Okay.
kids for propaganda. It's like, yeah, it's
No.
fucking mental. I don't know why you would make an assumption like that with like no fucking evidence. Yeah, it's so fucking crazy.
Seeing with my own eyes.
Which is Hamas propaganda, which you must accept as the
No,
only
it's
thing-
actually footage. I'm watching news footage of thousands of people fighting with each other to get at food.
The back and forth here should be her saying, yeah, it's because Israel gave them enough aid for this set amount of time. And under the Geneva Conventions, they are allowed to stop aid going into an area if they have good reason to believe that it'll be diverted. That is true by the Geneva Convention, which means it's the onus is on Hamas to distribute the aid that they have responsibly and not use it to enrich their fighters. But then Pierce would say,
Right.
oh,
Okay,
does that mean it's...
so-
And if Pierce was really clever, then he could say... So even if you know Hamas is diverting the aid and
And
6
X
months worth
equals
of aid would
2,
not last the population because
Y
Hamas
is
will hoard it and not distribute it effectively, then you are willing to allow Hamas to allow people to starve rather than just sending more aid in. Like you think that's worth that's a worthy price to pay, is like a shit ton of people starving so that you can starve Hamas, like proportionally.
Okay, so
and then she would be like, yeah,
Okay,
Geneva
so
Convention, but that debate's not going to happen, unfortunately. Rip.
No.
because I don't think she'd have a good answer to that question.
So X cubed is 8.
Because her two positions are,
trying to get
one,
to
there's
14.
enough aid for 6 months, but two, it's not getting distributed properly because Hamas is hoarding it. So there isn't actually enough aid for 6 months. There's enough aid for however long Hamas decides that they're going to distribute it effectively. But in her world, they're not doing it effectively. So it's not 6 months worth of aid. Not really. Not effectively.
Some of whom ended up dying, some of whom ended up being shot. The IDF says it wasn't them and it was Hamas. We don't know who did it because, as you know,
Grumble, grumble.
the Israeli government has
No
banned
journalists.
all international journalists from being anywhere near this to verify what is actually happening.
Piers Morgan, you're not allowing me to answer a single question.
I am, and then when you say something that I don't agree with, I'm challenging
I'm
you.
sure I'm going to say a lot that you don't agree with because
So X is equal
unfortunately
to what,
your
4
assessment is being based on misinformation, like these false reports we've had today of Israel shooting 31 Palestinians attempting to get to food. That was run, and Ambassador Mike Huckabee has criticised this resoundingly in a statement just now. That was run in the context of the Associated Press, CNN, many media outlets. And it was entirely false because it is, as has been the case previously. Hamas,
Wait, this is the one from the roundabout. That's the 31, isn't it? The roundabout. Or is this, no, is this Rafah?
Or
is
no,
Rafah 31? I don't fucking know. Let's see if they go into detail. Grumble.
The Israeli government says it was entirely false. What we have had, sorry, just to correct
it's not just the Israeli
Sorry
government.
to jump in again.
No,
She should say it's the Trump administration. Pierce won't know what to do. It's the Trump administration. Huckabee's Trump administration. He's Trump's fucking U.S. ambassador to Israel. He's a nutcase.
Also, the Gaza Humanitarian
Israel
Foundation.
has done one of its own reports because journalists aren't allowed to verify this independently. So Israel investigates itself and has decided it did nothing
I'm
wrong.
not referring to Israel's investigation.
Hang on. What we do know is that a number of doctors and hospital spokesmen and charity spokesmen have all said that there were many people killed and many more people wounded taken to hospitals, and they saw the bodies and they saw the wounded. So somebody was killing and wounding
Well, Hamas.
a lot of
We have the drone-
Palestinians.
we have the
you
drone
say
footage.
you say
Okay, that's
it was
all right.
Hamas. Hamas say it was the IDF. We, the international media, cannot verify this because Israel doesn't allow us in to do our job.
That's not why this reporting has been conducted on such a false basis. It's because nothing coming out of the Gaza Strip is able to be reported without Hamas control. And you, as part of the international media peers, will know this. It is
I also know that
consistent.
historically Israel has accepted that the health authorities' numbers, historically, before October the 7th, that they have been broadly accurate. That is the historical position.
You must also know that the assessments of Hamas casualty figures by experts and
It's getting close,
statisticians
though.
have found them to be preposterously inaccurate, fabricated.
Well, let me ask you a
In fact,
question.
may I
Let me ask you what I asked
You're
him.
not- No, you're not
Well, hang
allowing
on.
me to finish a single
Well, I can
answer.
actually conduct this interview any way I like.
Well, then the viewers aren't going to get
Oh,
any benefit of
The viewers can make their
Sigma
own mind
Morgan.
up about what they're hearing and seeing. When I interviewed the UK ambassador to the UK,
Yes.
she was able to tell me definitively that 30,000 Hamas terrorists had been killed.
I think it was an estimate. Let's be clear.
But she had absolutely no idea, estimate or otherwise,
Yes.
how many children had been killed in the process. Do you know?
There's a very simple logical explanation for that, which is Israel is targeting Hamas and Palestinians.
Do you know how many children Israel
That's
killed in
changing
the
the
process?
exact same
There
thing
is a very
around.
simple explanation for the reason that we do not know. Because
You only
Hamas
count
casualty-
you only
No.
count the terrorists
Would
who
you
killed,
like
not the
to
children.
hear the explanation?
Well, I just ask you, just to be clear, are you saying that the IDF only counts the bodies of terrorists it kills, not innocent?
That's maybe a good question, because how do you know if they... how do you know...
No.
Why is Pierce getting more aggressive on Israel? Because Israel and their leadership have literally said that they want to kick out all of fucking Gaza and turn it into an American Riviera. Like, I'm sorry, if the goal is like, if people can assume for a while, well, you know, they're going to... If people can assume for a while, like, oh yeah, they're going to kill the fucking, they're going to get rid of Hamas, and then they're going to allow the strip to get rebuilt later by someone else who's not Hamas, and there can actually be peace in the future.
Just give me some
That's
time.
probably a lot more defensible than we're going to root out Hamas so that we can give it to Trump, right? That shift is very indefensible. Like, when Netanyahu was being strategically ambiguous, you could say, about his goals for Gaza post-Hamas, when that government was not really alluding to anything, then that's a bit different from like the Trump Riviera plan. You know, that situation changes. That changes people's calculus. Of course it would.
That's the status we're
IDF
at.
has not
Well, okay, look, because Pierce Morgan doesn't add shit. Loaderbox does. Whatever. We're doing this. Fuck you.
What is happening right now? I'm seeing iDubbbz and Noah Samson add like Ethan receiving human skulls in the mail is just a funny meme.
Your opinion on the skulls, and did you send them?
I didn't send the skulls. I don't know. I thought the skulls thing was kind of humorous to hear that.
So I would
especially when I heard that they were like from skulls.com or something like that. That made it funny.
Just a death threat to a father, a family.
Yeah. Was it a death threat?
Just kidding. Yeah, no.
Yes, the threat is motivated on your community slandering Ethan as a racist who loves genocide. The threat so obviously is you don't know who we are, but we know where you and your family live. I thought Ian would be empathetic towards this, since he thought Sam Hyde was gonna kill him for no reason.
That was the craziest thing because Anissa said to me, she's like, Kate, you don't understand. Ian and I both believe that Sam Hyde would really come and find me and would actually murder me. So that's the reason why we have to take all these precautions. And I'm just like, are you sure?
I'm coming to kill you! I was like, I think the guy's a millionaire. I was like, I don't think he's gonna risk his freedom to kill you.
Meanwhile, 2 low-level staffers at the Israeli embassy were killed in the name of stopping a genocide. The same thing these guys accuse Ethan and his family of defending. But Ethan's crazy for being worried.
No, this is a hallucination. I will say it once again. If I don't think it's appropriate for someone to call CPS on Ethan Klein, why the fuck would I ever think it's appropriate for someone to kill Ethan Klein? Are you stupid? Of course, that is insane.
No, but you'd still praise them and hop on streams with them. Madam Panada is encouraging people to continue to make false CPS calls to Ethan and Gila. He's acting like it's a big joke.
Hello, is this Child Protective Services? Yes, thank you. I would like to report a case of endemic dog infestation, and it also contains 2 Zionists. And as we all know, Zion is the baby killer, so I think this is a very dangerous situation for the children, given the dog and the Zionists keep those kids safe.
This might be funny if it wasn't actually happening. This guy is also a serial doxer. He's doxing people on Twitter right now as we speak. It's wild to me that we have this group of people that have devolved into this mentality where lying is completely okay. Hassan's biggest fan account is spreading the lie that Asman killed his mom. Just makes it up. Even Frogan, the least relevant Hassan groupie, is completely lying about her past statements, saying veterans deserved PTSD.
I'm a live streamer as well. I know being live for hours and hours on end, you can misspeak, and that is...
When you say inversely proportional, do you mean like the inverse of the equation? Or just when X goes up 1, this goes up down 1? Or like,
exactly what happened whenever I said the thing about the U.S. military.
Bro, you didn't misspeak. You were serious.
I will never have any pity for any soldiers. The U.S. military? Who fucking who? I hope you get PTSD. I hope you get PTSD. And I hope you get no health insurance.
Well, because there's inverse of equation.
She lives in Michigan, by the way. And then you double down the next day laughing at what you said.
And they posted it in my head. I'm like, base? Base?
These people are such cry bullies. If you aren't 100% with them, you're against them. A Twitter account posts that Hassan was banned for a day. Well, Hassan frames them as an agent of Israel. Hassan replies, every blue check power farmer is an Israeli dick rider on this website. This guy didn't say anything. All he did was report your ban. And you have a blue check mark. Frogan sees Asman speak mildly about political content on Twitch. In Frogan's eyes, he's discriminating against her.
If I wanted to...
You're right. I was massively overcomplicating it. My bad.
Optimize ad revenue? You know what I would do? I'd ban politics. The odds are that me and Hassan...
Right. No. Look, so what I was doing was trying to find the inverse of this when I should have been finding the inverse of the X and the square swapped. I was trying to get fancier. Or not even... I was doing it wrong. But, yeah.
And Tectone and Frogan and Denims and Central Committee cause 90% of the PR problems on the entire website.
Honestly, facts. Rogan tweets, you consider me political because I wear a hijab. I am not like you and don't make political content anywhere, but typing a tweet once in a while. What reality is she living in? No one mentioned your hijab. And now we have the newest rising star in Hassan's orbit, iDubbbz, who's consistently used Creator Clash as a way to shield criticism because it's a charity event.
It's disappointing, and it makes me sick to see him, using the event as a way to, attack me back or whatever.
The new management of Creator Clash 3 revealed that Ian and Anissa were taking 34% of the profit from this event. Was Ian really concerned about his charity possibly failing, or did he only care about his bottom line?
Don't worry, Ela. I'm not going to blame you guys for anything Creator Clash related. I know you're terrified of taking accountability for anything, so that will rest solely on my shoulders. But I can't speak for the internet. The internet might actually blame you guys for it.
He thought he was cooking with this. Since then, Freddie Wong seemingly dropped out of the event after seeing Ian drag Creator Clash through this drama. Both the fighters from the main event dropped out of Creator Clash 3, blaming Ian for it. The event went from an arena that hosted 20,000 people to one that has a capacity of 4,000. A reputable harm has been done to this charity event. Everyone rightfully blames Ian and Anissa, but the funniest part is it's barely a charity event at all. Ian responded on Reddit, "We restructured so the funds for our charity partner would be raised on Tiltify, separate and apart from the actual event." The Tiltify is essentially when you go to Walmart checkout and ask you to round up $1 for charity. That's the extent of the charity aspect. People joke that this event would be a disaster like TanaCon.
You're saying the event is going to be worse than TanaCon?
But TanaCon's problem was that too many people showed up. For this one, there might be too many folding chairs. Yes, this is the actual venue. To hear him cry about, oh, this charity event's getting ruined when no pay-per-view sales, ticket sales, or profits from concessions is going to charity is a whole nother level of dishonesty.
What was the charity for? Like cancer research, or I don't even remember.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like
stand up to
cancer is bad. Comes below
the Jeremy.
I don't like this guy, and I'm going to talk about not liking this guy before I talk about cancer is bad, because I don't really care about either, but I'm more likely to make videos out of that guy and whoever gets in the.
All right, just shoot me the answer.
If it's kids with cancer, fuck them.
Noah, do you not know cancer is bad? Are you unaware? Oh, sorry, guys. Can't criticize Ian. There's this crazy disease nobody's heard of called cancer. This has been a disastrous event. It's worthy of criticism.
The way I see it is I think the common defense from the other side would be something along the lines of like, don't use charity as a shield.
Oh.
But I think they completely missed the point that it's like, it's not a shield. It's just like, hurt me as much as you want.
So,
you know, it's basically saying like, you do not have a case. You are not winning. You are not hurting me. So you're trying to find other ways to hurt me. You are like, you're kind of by
use
attacking
different
this other thing, by triangulating this other thing, you are proving
British math
that
maths,
nothing's working.
plural.
You know?
Singular math over here.
Yeah.
And
oh man.
Yeah, oh man, that was completely retarded. Your own fighters are dropping out of the event. You think it's all malicious? They just want to hurt you? All of this genuine criticism is just a lie to you. Here's Wade, one of the commentators, talking about how misled he was.
You're telling people it's a charity event. Stop telling people that, because it's not what it is.
4 to the
That was the
6.
whole issue with the lack of communication behind number 1 and 2. That it's a charity event, charity event, charity event. It's not a charity event. It's a boxing event that you are perpendicularly associating with a separate charity that has nothing to do with people buying the boxing event. I was a part of the event and didn't know any of this.
So
I didn't know where money is going, outside of the fact that I was offered and said no.
Jay LeRae, one of the fighters, didn't understand that this wasn't a charity event.
Those of you that don't know, I'm going to be boxing in Creator Clash 3 in Tampa, Florida this June 28th. I'm very excited. You can grab your tickets now. In-person tickets are on sale and pay-per-view tickets are on sale as well. You can go grab pay-per-view tickets now. All proceeds from this event are going to Stand Up to Cancer.
That is just not true. The proceeds are profit for the organizers. Only the Tiltify money goes to charity. What was Ian's response in his newest video? Well, it's just a miscommunication.
I have felt extremely handcuffed by Creator Clash these past years because I'm not an expert communicator and I don't know how to convey things, not over communicate, not do all these things that potentially put the event at risk and put other people at risk. And that's kind of why I wanted to step away from this event. It feels like it's inhibiting my ability, like the business side of things, like inhibits my ability to communicate openly and effectively, especially when there's so many people counting on me to do that well.
You don't have to be an expert communicator to let people know that this is a for-profit event. The new people that took over made it clear in just a few lines on the transparency page of the Creator Clash website. When things evolve, each new iteration is supposed to get better, like phones or tools, not Creator Clash. The 4th one's gonna be held in Ian's backyard. But the best example of evolution might be Exter Wallet. Exter is innovating the wallet game with a slim, slick design, a button that makes all your cards easily accessible, and a finder card so you never lose your wallet again. I think we all have a friend or dad dad with a wallet that looks like this, big, bulky,
That used to
ugly.
be
If
my
you sit
wallet.
on it, it gives you back pain. And as big as it is, I still lose it. And with Father's Day coming up, we don't have to live this way any longer. Now I just pull out the Find My Phone app
Okay.
where I can see the exact
So,
location. If you
to
move too
check
far
if
away,
I'm correct, when W is 4. Oh, fuck me. Can I just plug it in too? Whatever. I should be looking at. Okay, no, I've got something wrong here, but.
away from it, it gives you a notification so you never leave it behind. And if you get too far from it, you can even ring it. It's slim, convenient, and water resistant. So whether it's for yourself or a Father's Day gift, Esker is the wallet upgrade that everyone will appreciate. So go to partner.esker.com/WillyMaxShow and use code WillyMaxShow to get 50% off your order. Thank you, Esker, for sponsoring this video.
It was revealed with the change of ownership that Anissa and I, because we're 1/3 ownership of Creator Clash the business, that we were getting 34% of the profit share. We weren't anticipating this event doing well. Like, we wanted to do well enough to pay back the investors, of course. So that's
There we
one of
go.
the reasons
I got
that
it.
we were, okay with the
By the way, that's
profit
X
share
equals 4,
thing.
not
So you guys were expecting it to fail? That's why I think it's so cowardly you guys bailed out of this event. Doesn't it seem like he made this content cop to get bad press so he could
So
drop
then
out? It's
it should be
interesting how it took
W
till
equals
now for moves to be
2.
made to make sure this event isn't a complete financial failure.
But another part of it as well is that the contract wasn't structured in a
Should be
way that
248.
the profit share could just directly go to charity. It was told to us, like, you could just donate your portion of the profit share to charity after the event. So we were like, okay, fine. Now I know some people will find it hard to believe that Anissa and I were just going to give our portion of the profit share to charity. There's nothing I could really say to, I think, convince them otherwise. It was up to our discretion at the end of the day.
The reasoning is so weird. We took profit knowing that the event would fail, but if it somehow succeeded, we would donate that money anyway. You just have to trust us on that. Why not just have that in the contract? Instead of it going to you and Anissa, it goes to charity. Can it not be written in? Am I missing something? Brother, you and your wife aren't exactly known as honest people.
I'm very happy that, this year
That's
money
the
is
other
being
way
raised for
around.
charity. And I'm glad to know that
It's
it's already
roughly
more
something like
successful
that,
than year 2. Mission accomplished as far as I'm concerned.
That money wasn't raised by you. It was raised by Hassan reacting to Ethan's content nuke. If you don't host your event at all, that money still goes to charity. You've done nothing.
Go figure. The white guy 8 years later is like, I think Anita Sarkeesian was kind of onto something. There's a lot of assholes on the internet, and they're kind of misogynistic too, I think. It's crazy what a little CTE or the love of a woman will do to you.
Whenever you're around Anissa, you look like an abused dog.
I just want to ask you if you've always been shitting your pants.
No.
Because since I've known you, you've always had like
Oh, no.
IBS. You've always been shitting yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm not
Oh,
going to
he's got a
spend...
cafe. Burton, has he always
Something
had
like that,
IBS? Ian's
I'll call
just
it
looking
close
like
enough.
a shriveled. You
You
look
get
like
the
the
idea.
grandma from SpongeBob.
Oh, no, wait.
The chocolate grandma.
I am
You know
correct.
what I'm talking about?
I don't know what's happened to Ian. He has zero confidence. He doesn't even know how to speak for himself anymore. His boxing coach is telling stories on how Anissa tells Ian when he's hungry.
One time we ended sparring, and afterwards everybody's hanging out, and she walks up to Ian and she goes, "You're hungry."
Yes.
And then so they had to
Here we
leave
go,
because
ready?
Ian was hungry.
Do you feel like I speak too much for you? Like in this?
I don't think so. You know
He
me better
is.
than,
Dude, he's he's hollow, man. I kind of feel bad for the guy.
I think it's a weird...
Seconds right hand, Alex Wasabi.
Well, I shouldn't say it's weird. The reason Anissa does it is because typically, whatever the topic is, she's filling in the blank. Because I don't say it for myself. I
Oh
think a
no,
lot of
the
times.
video's not showing
You know,
this.
my head's in a different space.
You're not kind to yourself. You've never been kind to yourself. And you'll never share, like, if you're in a room with a bunch of people and people are talking about like what they accomplish or what they've done, you'll never ever speak up about that.
Does she change your diapers too? Now, I don't know how much weight to put into what this guy's saying. Maybe he's just angry and trying to get back at them for some reason. But now there's another story about Ian getting cucked, no meme.
I've heard
so loud
is that she was hitting on one of his sparring partners and was obsessed with him and gave him a VIP pass to the event.
God.
a lot of his sparring partners got the passes, but she definitely had a big crush on one of the guys that would come in and spar with them, because anytime they would spar, she would just be super into it and watch every moment. And then even if he would like beat Ian up, she'd be very into it. And then
I want to say that I want to say that before. So Anissa never gave shoutouts to Michael training Ian at all, but she put out the first video of Ian like getting rocked in sparring when Ian was sparring with her crush.
Anissa allegedly flew out over 300 creators to the event with no requirement to promote it.
He's like, our brand is at stake. We're $500,000 in the hole right now.
I wish I knew that. I wish I knew that at that time. I think a lot of the fighters would have liked to have known that. I don't think none of them needed to be in the dark about that, you know?
Their pay-per-view sales were behind and they were still spending money.
But they weren't honest about the fact that they were spending the money from the ticket sales on the hotel, on flying people in, on all these other things. So it was just like...
So those decisions, the gala decisions were made while in the red.
Yes.
I have a question about that.
First of all, they rented the hotel for over 300 creators. And flew a lot of them in. When the first year it was much more scaled back.
Ian can't edit a video anymore, so he flies out Twitter editors.
And then the second year, they did that full hotel for 300 creators. They flew a lot of people in. One of the people they flew in was Froggy Tonic, and they flew him in from France.
That's insane.
And Froggy had told us that he was there to salvage the documentary.
Ian and Anissa haven't responded to these latest allegations, but they did defend their tattoos. Priorities.
Cool. It doesn't really matter what I do, because I'll always stay stuck as a fool. I'll never be cool.
It really is remarkable how everything Ian says is projection. Donut Operator revealed in his podcast that Ian stopped talking to him because he made an OnlyFans joke.
He went to a range day with me one time. Like, we used to talk a lot about content creation and stuff. And COVID rolls around, I get bored at home, so I make an OnlyFans where I'm showing my meat.
Really?
And, well, basically, I'm taking a steak and I'm rating a steak. And like,
see, that's the reaction that you're supposed to have. Genius.
I thought it was funny. So I'd be wearing like just an apron. Of course, I'm wearing like boxers underneath. And I'd reach down and be like, "This is my OnlyFans," and this is an A5 Wagyu from down the street. And I would talk about it. And I sent it to Ian, and he got mad and called me and like said I was making fun of Anissa, and like I wasn't. I just thought it was a funny bit because I was sitting at home during COVID. And
I'm not saying Donut Operator is a good guy. That's not.
Yeah, he like said stuff like that. Haven't talked to him since. That was like 5 years ago.
Over that?
Yeah, and I've like texted him and tried to reconnect with him. He just won't talk to me anymore.
Ian's response is to say, conveniently leaving out that your girlfriend at the time was pursuing OnlyFans, but you were too pussy to deal with the criticism, so you made a parody account. No, I don't want to be friends with a coward. How is any of that a relevant response? Should Donut Operator have uploaded a video like you did, talking about how intelligent he is for letting his wife do OnlyFans?
But I'm cool with it. You do realize there are guys out there in private right now jacking off to your girlfriend. But I guess it's out of sight, out of mind, it's not a problem.
Yeah, Ian wants to see it.
Let me have my hope, all right? I want to believe he's too intelligent for this. Intelligence has nothing to do with it, but I will say this. If you want to retain hope that I'm intelligent, this is the most intelligent thing I've probably ever done, is revealing
Is there
this
any
side
way
of me.
you
The
know
bar's
of
real
to
low, huh?
turn
Bro's
down
only
the
real
mouse
world experience was working
sensitivity?
at Legoland. This man just said it was the most intelligent thing he's ever done. Donut Operator, you're missing out. You could be Ian. The content cop has been nothing but a failure. It's done harm to everyone associated with Ian, so the new narrative is to hide behind the dead bodies of Palestinians. Act as if the content cop was about Israel-Palestine the whole time.
I even hate calling it drama, because at the end of the day, it was you kind of taking a stand of being pro-Palestine. I don't think that's drama necessarily, but the way that they have handled talking about this, people like Ethan and some people on Twitter that cover this make it about themselves so often, when that's not what any of this is about, you know. Like,
I'm sorry that I'm such a fucking nasty person who just wants to roll around in the shit.
There's people in Palestine dying every fucking day. I think over the weekend, just on Saturday
really
alone,
matter.
like over 100 people were bombed and killed.
I can show your tattoos in all of their glory, or I can show that your tattoo made it to the top of awful taste but great execution subreddit.
What was the impulse to finally take a stand?
Yeah, well, I think Ethan made it really fucking easy for me. I think honestly the only like thing that made me like second guess any of it was like how it affects like other people.
Ethan was mad because people were calling CPS on his children, and the content cop was acting like Ethan was lashing out for no reason. But now that Ian's criticized, suddenly he's a big advocate for Palestine. The only time he talked about it is when he said Anissa's half Irish and half Lebanese, so that makes her an expert.
I'll say it for anyone who doesn't know. Anissa is half Lebanese and half Irish. For anyone unfamiliar, the Irish have been on the receiving end of a lot of oppression and genocide. On the part of the Lebanese, they've received a lot of oppression and attacks from the IDF. So Anissa is very well familiar with the propaganda and the shit coming out of Israel.
Called out for this by the entire internet. Ian acts like he's above it all.
Yeah, I'm like definitely a loser to like a huge swath of people online.
Yeah.
Camera speed
and
is
it's like I don't really
insanely
care
fast.
to be a winner in their eyes.
I don't care.
Oh, I gotta kind of reconcile with my past moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I relate in that way, but then I also relate in the way that it's hard. It's hard to be funny. And I can tell that bro really like admires like a lot of these comedians that he's had on his show. I think he wants to, you know, be something special. I think he wants to be an entertainer. But like, like it's gonna take a lot of fucking like pain and hurt to actually discover who the fuck you are, because I don't think he knows who he is, to be honest.
Like it wasn't overnight, like me gaining my confidence back. And I'm still probably not all the way there, but
This guy projects more than a movie theater. Yeah, Ethan should have followed your podcast format, where you hide all your new episodes on Patreon. They've figured out a way to argue that them making boring content somehow makes them a better person. I've subscribed to their Patreon, and their podcast was so mundane I couldn't bother to slog through it. This was the highlight.
I would say there's some options that you don't think about as existing, especially when you're younger. I didn't think about how I could put an egg in my ramen.
Yeah.
I never considered that.
Yeah.
And it always felt like it was a little bit like lacking something. Like I wanted to put something like cheese in there.
Mhm.
But Fluffy put me on to putting an egg in there. I mean, he chefed it up quite a bit. He like would go through the effort of like cutting up some green onions and stuff.
Yeah.
And putting
Oh,
it in
wow.
there.
He was really chefing it up.
Yeah, I think he wanted to do more. And I think that's, to be honest, what a lot of like, I think that's such a positive avenue for people who are struggling with their weight.
How are they morally grandstanding on getting less views?
Yeah,
They
the
act like
parking brake
Ian's
is gonna
video
be-
saved the sex industry.
When the OnlyFans shit happened and everybody was shitting their pants about me having an OnlyFans, there were some content creators that suggested to Ian, like, the move is to make your own OnlyFans and go in there and fucking just start posting on OnlyFans and make it a big joke. And, like, that's what people want to see. That's what's going to be entertaining. And, like, yeah, we understand what the, like, politically correct, not politically correct, the strategically correct move is. But for, in that instance, for the sex working community, that would harm them so, like, so much more than like it would help us.
That's the biggest frustration, is that people don't really, it's like, I'm the one who made all of these videos in the first
Just
place.
S the break?
I understand
The game.
Yeah. Like, of course, like the suggestion of like
You're
making the
giving up the
OnlyFans
game.
thing a joke.
Yeah.
Like,
How do I turn
that
my
was like,
blinker?
that's so obvious
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
But the people who suggested that shit to me are f***ing losers. If you're watching this, you're a f***ing loser.
Oh no, this guy thinks I'm a loser.
I'm gay.
Who would have thought that this would have been the peak of Ian's career? The biggest scope in Ian's video was him saying tons of people agree with him, they just didn't leave a comment or make a video because they're too busy.
I think all of the people who are like,
This is no fun if I
who is
follow the
like,
law,
like
so.
literally winning the argument and who is like presenting a better case. I think a lot of those people are just silent, you know? At most, they're clicking like on a video, but they're not gonna fucking put in like the labor to like make sure their guy wins or their girl wins, you know? They're just gonna fucking kind of move on because they got a life.
He's trying so hard to convince himself he's in the
now,
right.
Know
in
that
situations
other
like this, you gotta
commentary
take a wide
channels,
swing,
regular
and you
people,
gotta speed up in
they're-
order to get properly
when they're
onto the
trying to get a
highway.
temperature
Oh,
check
it's right
about
there.
how people
Hold
feel
on.
about this, they're gonna like, you know, if the like dislike
You gotta
isn't
do a
giving them
Yui
much
here.
of a vibe, they are gonna go to the comments and they are going to, you know, use that as a template for how they should feel about it. Not in all cases, but you know,
I'm
they
gonna
want
jackknife
to have an
myself.
understanding. They want to be tapped in because I think a lot of people that is like it's important, you know. I want to know what people are thinking.
Sorry,
about the
missed
video,
my
but I think
exit.
there's a big force of really loud people
Alright,
in the
everyone okay?
comments,
Awesome.
and they scare people away. And especially if
See?
it's
No harm, no
brigaded
foul.
fast and quickly, like within the first 24 hours of it being uploaded.
Or maybe it's because your video sucks,
Does this
but let's let
motherfucker
him
just hit
cook.
me?
There's been a lot of people to put out commentary videos about Ethan.
Oh, I honk.
And they go bye-bye.
Like who?
Like, they're like, "F this, I do not want the smoke, I do not want the heat." And even if it's like not genuine at all, it's like there are people out there in different communities that are like, I'm going to get on this shit and I'm going to make them feel like the internet's against them and this is the fucking end of their career.
Bro, just name somebody.
Bro, no left on red?
I mean,
What?
do any come to mind specifically?
I mean,
Fuck
I
off.
think the left or the snark, the H3 snark has like kept track of them. There was like one smaller
Quick little left
commentary
on red.
channel. I think they may have
No harm, no
focused
foul,
on like
right?
fucking like Ethan's topics or Ethan talking about
All right.
Markiplier maybe. I'm not sure what it was specifically, but that one got nuked.
Oh,
there
nice.
was
Jersey
a
Slide.
woman who made one.
Awesome.
Oompaville was another one.
now
We
we
got one
accelerate
name and
up
it's
to
Oompaville. Now,
buck
I like Oompaville, but he prefaced his video by saying, I don't know anything about the drama, I'm not going to look into it any farther, and he just sided with Ian on most things. He just says, I don't know the whole time.
I don't know. I really don't know the point of this video. I don't know what's going on. But it's very epic, though.
Okay.
A lot of calling out of hypocrisy, but
Sure,
everyone's
man.
always
The
hypocritical.
woke.
If you're speaking and you're critiquing things and you're judging people, you're always going to be hypocritical.
If
no
I
matter what.
don't
It's
think
not
I'll do a
possible to not
stream
that.
where I drink.
I don't know what that means.
Apparently,
Pride
Denham's, I don't know if this is
myself
true, I'm not going to fact check it, but this seems like
Incredible.
Get out of my way
Incredible.
with the fear of God.
Incredible. Hey guys, I'm gonna watch an iDub. I'm gonna watch the iDubbbz video, and I'm gonna pretty much take all of it as fact, whatever
This
iDub
motherfucker
says,
thinks
and then
he's
any criticism though, I'm pretty much just not gonna
hot
fact check
shit.
it. It's pretty cool, man. I love
When
it.
people pointed out how lazy his video was, he co-posted by
gajillion
saying he
tons
touches
of-
too much grass. Dude, you only had to watch like 20 minutes of the H3 podcast to get his side of things. Is that too much work for you?
Find his post interesting. Remove today's video. Why? Because I felt like it. I'm gonna start doing that more. I'm
Once
married,
I
can do whatever
accelerate
I
up
want.
to speed, I will
Okay.
not be able to stop.
Also, a lot of people expected a lot of
But we
research
are gonna
and taking it
Latin this
very seriously, and I can't do that while
Camaro,
maintaining a
whatever it's
positive mental state and touching grass and remaining employed. So I'm sorry.
He made a video that sucked and was called out for missing
Coming
basic
for him.
things like CPS getting called. But that's the only way you could think this content cop was good, is if you're missing
Yeah, that's the
content.
plan, but I
Ian's
gotta
newest
catch up
video
to
is on
them.
how he doesn't like concern trolling.
Ultimately, concern trolling is just saying something
I don't know how
in
fast
bad
I can
faith.
get up
It's very
to.
similar to tone policing or sea lining.
Which is so
I
ironic
guess I gotta
because all he
take
did his
racing
entire video
lines,
was
maybe?
concern troll Ethan and Crazy Maker.
Yeah,
Now Ethan
that's
famously
gotta be
has
the plan.
Tourette's, so what's the most empathetic couple on YouTube tweet out now that he's become
Let's
their
try,
enemy?
pussy.
Drugs?
Get out of my way.
Okay, it's time for loved ones to step up for real. Parents, partners, someone. I'm saying this so genuinely. It's okay to ask for help. Please get help. I criticized Oompaville earlier in my video for chiming in without looking into anything.
I
But
need
that's
some
the entire
upgrades.
strategy iDubbbz, Hassan, and Denham's
Or no, wait, I don't
entirely
even have a
operate
truck,
with.
so it
You
doesn't
lie, and
matter.
then you lie to get out of the lie while continuing to lie. And then you convince everyone who doesn't know what's going on that your critics are pro-genocide and are just crazy. The streamer watched an
They
out-of-context
got
TikTok
same.
thinking
Amazon
Denham's
has same
called a
day
waiting
delivery. I
room
got
was because
same
she
hour
wasn't
delivery.
pregnant.
But just some of the stuff that he says about women too. I genuinely don't know how anybody even wants to work for him at this point. It's like actually insane. He's like, what did he say? I saw some clip of him saying something about a woman, waiting room. He called her a waiting room because she hasn't had kids yet.
$260
Gets
to
called
run
a
a
waiting
bus
room
off the
because
road.
people wait in her stream until
Don't
Hassan
mind if I
starts. It has
do.
nothing to do with her being a woman. But Ethan's sexist now to everyone who watched these TikToks. Even Meat Canyon, who's just trying to be down the middle, is helping Hassan because this is not a down the middle drama.
I don't think that either side's really that fucking,
How many more miles of this
that
do I have?
fucking great, if I'm being honest. I feel like there's a lot of oopsie daisies, right? You know what I mean? I don't know. The problem is he has no... He cannot. He can never say that he's wrong about anything. That's
See an
that's-
enemy truck.
That is the biggest.
That's
the
the
biggest
Walmart
problem with all
delivery
of these people. Nobody can just be like, nah, I don't know. It is
service.
fucked up. This is fucked up. I shouldn't be overreacting to this.
I agree that this is a problem online, but it doesn't apply to Ethan in this drama. He's the only one that has corrected information when he's wrong.
Let me respond. I agree with you. I think that my characterization of it as a utopia, like in that moment, was distasteful, and I wish that I had said that differently. And I see that it came off bad. It came off bad, and I was wrong on that one. I totally agree. Watching that clip back, I'm regretful about how I spoke about it.
Bro, I knew what
I think I
traffic
did say that,
density-
and I think that was wrong. I was incorrect on
you've
that.
said that numerous
Enemy
times. You
truck,
actually
500
like,
meters.
tweeted against AB when AB was like, I don't think that's correct.
Yeah, by the way, I that's something I looked
Keep
into,
my
and I
eyes
was
on the
I was
road.
actually wrong about
Why?
that for sure.
But Hassan and these other people will lie and then continue to double down on it. So
Yeah,
these
they
lies
saw
go
me
back over
coming.
3 years. I've documented this forever. But one that I think is particularly relevant is that Ethan is this ultra-Zionist genocide defender.
Headlight usage
Sometimes it's because he
offense.
doesn't cite an exact
What?
figure.
You compare the raw numbers.
My headlights
Gazans
on?
have lost a lot more than Israelis.
Oh, shit.
40,000 people have died, and neighborhoods have been completely flattened during this war.
The figure he cites is wrong. It's just wrong. Credible estimates have placed the full scale of the slaughter in Gaza at over 65,000 deaths due to traumatic injury alone.
But when Ethan's video came out, this was a common estimate given by outlets. Another time, Hassan disagreed with one of the two organizations that Ethan donated money to.
His organization that Ethan donated to and urged his fans to donate to is not a fucking charity. They gave money directly to the Atlantic Council under the false notion that they were giving money to a Palestinian charity.
But if you watch the original broadcast, this guy's completely transparent.
I have no idea what any of the controls are.
I'm a resident senior fellow, but also I run Realign for Palestine through the Atlantic
I don't
Council.
know how I dropped speed so much.
We have like our own standalone website, realignforpalestine.org. There is a donate button, and yeah, so like you're certainly folks can donate there, but also I would encourage folks to consider the World Food Program has a Gaza Appeals page that is dedicated just for
it's green. Wonderful.
That is dedicated for
Racing
sending
line.
food just for Gaza.
Hassan even advocates for the same charity they promoted.
Yeah, the World Food Program is one of the
guys, I made it
actual
to Tucson.
humanitarian foundations that they link.
So Hassan mischaracterizes this entire
that's a
situation
police
and then
officer.
crashes out partially because Gila describes people living in Gaza as Gazans.
It's really crazy how Hassan just doesn't want us to help Gazans. Oh my God! Oh, they're so gross, dude.
The cop is
They're
right there.
such
Shit.
Disgusting.
I gotta go.
Genocidal propagandists. Oh my God!
Wait, I don't see the cop.
Oh,
is he gone?
it's crazy how Hassan doesn't want us to help the Palestinians.
Oh my God.
Wait, did she even say Palestinians? Hold on, maybe she did. It's really crazy how Hassan just doesn't want us to help Gazans. Oh, she didn't even say Palestinians. She said Gazans. Yeah. Here, another great way to figure out Ahmed Al-Khatib being a bad faith actor is that he calls himself a Gazan American. He doesn't even call himself a Palestinian American.
Why is he making it a big deal? The coverage he watches does it every day.
Thousands of starved Gazans.
There's a gas station.
They're pressuring the
There's a
Gazans,
repair shop right
displaced
there.
Gazans.
Hassan has tweeted it several times.
It
Hassan
literally
himself
would
has
not let
described
me break the
Palestinians living in
barriers to
Gaza
drive
as
through.
Gazans.
There are definitely a lot
I
of
definitely
Israelis
tried.
that do want the Israeli civilians to die, and certainly the Gazan civilians to die as well. The Gazans did not have access to. Oh, she didn't even say Palestinians. She said Gazans. Oh, they're so gross, dude.
But the biggest sin Ethan committed was not liking a slogan.
You were talking about
How am I gonna
from the river
park
to the
this
sea,
John?
Palestine will be free.
in the
And
repair
so, like,
center?
At worst, the worst interpretation of that would be like someone like Hamas or Hezbollah or like terrorist organizations who are like, yeah, we want to actually kill
The
everybody.
LeBron James of
That's the
trucking.
worst interpretation of it. I know that there's a lot of people, obviously, most vast majority of people who do say that don't want to kill all the Jews there, right?
There's such
I gotta say, the trailer damage?
disgusting,
1%?
genocidal propagandists. Oh my God.
Does he really deserve that label? I'm sure there's plenty of things to criticize Ethan for, but these people are labeling him as something that he's not. He agrees with them on all of the biggest points.
And the government of Israel is a colossal failure. Netanyahu's a war criminal, a fucking psycho. Into the genocide happening by settler fucking lunatics, and they're hellbent on genocide, frankly, overtly. They've committed tons of war crimes in Gaza, including the killing of children, obviously, because Gaza is one of the most densely populated places in the world. I'm told myself all the way to, outright saying that it's apartheid, that it's genocide, that the Israeli government is committing. Happening in Gaza is a terrible humanitarian crisis that we should all care about. If you're pro-genocide, then we're definitely going to have a disagreement.
Bro, all of these comments on every video call him a genocide supporter
right,
because he
back
doesn't
to
like
it.
every single thing these guys say and do.
I don't know what's going on. But ever since October 7th, it's like I'm nothing more or less than a Zionist genocide supporter. Nothing.
Genocidal propagandists. Oh my God.
At what point are they just slandering him?
exit
And
the
the
other
most
way?
cowardly
I don't know,
part
this
is they
works.
hide behind the dead bodies of Palestinians to
Nice.
avoid any accountability on this.
Also wild because the political content creator in
Back in the
question
gear.
is an anti-genocide content creator, and the arguments they're attacking him for are anti-genocide arguments. So these creators, they're positioning themselves in opposition to
Right,
him and
gas
his
station's
arguments,
right
de
here.
facto positioning themselves on the pro-genocide side. Anti-genocide is pro-genocide. genocide. It's quite the precarious predicament they've placed themselves in.
He's twisting himself into a pretzel trying to explain it. You can't criticize Hassan, otherwise you're pro-genocide. It's so stupid. I watched Noah Samson's most recent video about Ethan Klein and Mutahar suing him for defamation, and I was blown away when I heard his explanation for why Mutahar is pro-genocide. It's because he criticized Hassan for his Houthi interview. One of the worst interviews in all of YouTube.
Wait, which side is my gas?
I have an entire video on it. Go watch it.
Does he know what One Piece is?
It's on the other side.
Is that an organization?
No, One Piece is an anime. Lofi?
Yeah, he said he's been watching it since he was a kid.
Hello? How do I implore this gas station services?
I think he hasn't spent much time with Chinese people, but one of the captain was Chinese, and he
Can I get out?
He did caught with them, and he danced some music with them, and he was vibing. So he likes him, yeah.
So I mean, what? That's so crazy.
I gotta do the truck.
So they're just fucking chilling with the captains? Like, I don't understand.
To be clear, we're talking about a man they took hostage.
America's like America's like blowing them up while they're just like doing cat and fucking chilling with the captains. Like, how does he feel about that? Isn't that crazy? Like, I don't know how to describe it.
They essentially claim, we couldn't have possibly supported a genocide because elsewhere we have said that we don't. We said that genocide is bad, so we are exempt from any criticism for any other things we may have said that do actually support a genocide. For this point, one of the quotes that they cite is Mutahar saying, "I'm not afraid to say that genocide is wrong." Wow, how brave of you, Mutahar.
He feels like he has to say that because you keep saying otherwise.
Aside from that being just false, Mutahar stayed silent on Gaza throughout the entirety of the genocide until it was time to join his friends on a Hassan bad smear campaign. If that's not fear, I don't know what you'd call it other than, I guess, cowardice.
That's it? Muta didn't make a video on the conflict? Pro-genocide. Muta criticized Hassan? Pro-genocide. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Muta was a Canadian YouTuber. Didn't realize he was the Prime Minister of Israel. This is the propaganda machine at work. Lie about people who criticize you. When you get called out, crazy make them. Support people who dox or falsely called CPS on them. Then when they respond to that, concern troll. Hide behind the dead bodies of children. Act above it all, even though they instigated it. That way everyone who's not paying attention will think you're the rational one. It's really dangerous to conflate anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism, but it's completely acceptable to conflate criticizing Hassan with being pro-genocide.
Anyone else
I'll probably
present.
get blamed for killing an entire school bus worth of children for uploading this YouTube video.
What you're doing with your platform is entirely negative against pro-Palestinian voices. Yeah, of course people are going to think you're fucking anti-Palestine. And
truck prepared.
I personally think that too. I do think that.
The fact that while Israel is doing a genocide,
all right, and then we got to just get a little saucy on the
lot of these people
turn.
have shifted their priority directly to drama slop and to attack people who call out Israel's genocide.
We'll never fucking forget these monstrous pieces of shit for looking at a situation like the one happening, the one unfolding in Gaza, and choosing to never say anything about it, only to then make these fucking drama videos to call out the people who call out the Israeli government.
Oh, I took the wrong turn.
To do after 12 months,
I don't think there's enough
months,
space for me to
14
pull
months of
you
genocide, then you
I
are less
definitely
than
would.
nothing to me. Tens of thousands of children fucking destroyed.
I want to.
Okay? I read accounts from a parent that felt fire for the first time. Woke up, okay? Immediately grabbed her son, started running out of the house, and in the process didn't realize that her son felt a little bit lighter. He turned back around and saw that it wasn't her son that she was holding, it was simply her son's arm. Okay? That is the daily reality for Palestinians.
He's using a dead kid to shield valid criticism. It's so gross.
He just uses being pro-Palestine as a way to try to dance on this fucking tightrope where he gets to say whatever he wants.
That's you. These people want diplomatic immunity. Can't criticize Hassan because he is critical of Israel. Can't criticize Ian because he runs a for-profit charity.
Ian is the only person who gets a pass.
Oh, it's green.
For torpedoing his own admission, torpedoing a charity event. Why are we giving Ethan a pass for saying he wants the charity event to fail? Effectively getting the charity event to fail, to postpone. And for the original creators to divest from.
Nothing is ever these people's fault. Hassan can't get stopped at an airport without blaming his critics.
These fucking dumbass Sloptubers are actually playing with fucking fire. And I even thought about not even mentioning this because I was like, I don't want to give him any sort of like power over the situation. But like, The reality of the matter is 100% the Trump administration is inadvertently working with a lot of these fucking dipshits. These dipshits are playing a formative role in getting people in trouble with the law.
This guy lies so much in this video. It's comical. These people are such spurgs. Ryan Beard announces that he's criticizing Ethan in the upcoming video, and Hassan tries to gatekeep. If you're a YouTube content creator who hasn't said dick about Israel-Palestine, and you're only now starting to let your critical positions on Israel be known, after 19 months of genocide, since it's no longer going to cause you severe career
headlight
penalty,
usage
and you spent a moment
offense.
finger
How do I
wagging
turn
at
them
people
on?
who've been correct the entire time, I will absolutely come after you. So you just argue with people that
maybe
agree
the
with you,
controls might have
argues
been a
with
good thing
Ethan,
to do.
argues with Ryan. I will absolutely come after you. You aren't gonna do shit. Oh no, Hassan's gonna react to Bad Empanada watching somebody else's video and then get up and leave halfway through. I have a lot more to say about Hassan, but that'll be part of a much bigger video. So subscribe to the channel and buy your dad a wallet. Shout out to the homies over on Patreon: Crimson Glass, Riveter, Christina Vina, Mac Monkey, Drain Kobex, Necro Valley, The Confusing Opinion, Eddie Bizzle, Tiz McFitz, Christopher H, Sennial Music, Lucasif, ET Automatic, Snoopy
not gonna let
Goop
me
2,
out?
Amur ML Bay, Rooney Boo, Drew is Sharon, Clown Factory, Monkey D. Luffy, Shura, Mustard Shirt Guy, Tiffany Sullivan, and the mega homies: Hellison, IGP, Your Taxi, Cyber Katie, Lore Reloaded, Papa.
It's keys and buttons, not controls. I gotcha.
Not been,
Okay.
and this is a shift now, as you would have heard from Jonathan Conricus,
Fair,
has
fair.
not been in control of any significant part of Gaza to be able to conduct that analysis.
So how does it know how many terrorists it's killing?
Okay. All right.
Because it is striking them
That's
with
K.
clear intelligence
Born.
and targeting those strikes deliberately.
So it counts the bodies of the terrorists, but not the children
No,
it
it
kills
counts-
in the process.
It counts. I'm sorry, this is perfectly logical. That
It's
it
actually not
counts-
logical at all.
It counts.
To any.
If the question, if Pierce was smart, he would know how are they making proportionality assessments if they don't know how many civilians are getting killed. I don't even know if this is true, right? Like the IDF really doesn't say.
How do I tell
like,
if
oh,
it's
yeah, this
on or
operation, killed like 4 terrorists, shot 2 other people because like whatever fucking mistake or
Okay, it looks on
Steve
now.
over there lost his shit
Oh,
and
shit.
decided to execute 3 people. Like
Anyone watching this, they're thinking, what on earth are these Israelis saying? First the ambassador, now you. What you're saying is that you only count the terrorists that are killed. You don't count the children that are killed
Can't, like,
in the
lean
process
forward
of
in
killing the
this game?
terrorists.
Perhaps
to
I
which
can
it begs the
provide
question,
you. No, I can
why-
provide you
why?
with some additional analysis.
Why?
If you'll allow me to answer the question, I'll provide you
Sneaky
with some
little
additional
left on
analysis,
red.
which is in
Never
relation
hurt
to the
anybody.
casualty ratios that have been projected.
How do you know
throughout
the
this war.
ratios?
I'll explain. The
Never
casualty
left on red.
ratio
Never
throughout
hurt
the
anybody.
first period of the war, phase 1,
Oh, shush.
was generally put at between 1:1 and 1.5
How do you
to
know?
1. I'll explain.
Okay, let's not
Since
miss the
then,
turn this time.
in phase 2, because of a very different type of fighting that we're now seeing,
It's
there
4
are
to
some
1, right?
estimates that it may have gone up to 2 to 1.
How do you know?
Very simply, that Israel has been able to establish.
How do you know if you're not counting?
May I answer the question?
Well, you're not counting the civilians you're killing, so how do you know the ratio?
Well, if you're not going to allow me to
You talk
answer the
about
question,
logic. Let me go to, I want to bring
No,
Dave.
no,
I don't know.
you've just asked me the
I've let
question.
you speak for a long time. Dave is.
haven't, Piers.
Well, I have, and I'll let you speak again. We've got plenty of time here.
I'm
There's-
sorry, but
okay, I will say this is like an absolutely fucking moronic style from Piers Morgan. Like I want to know what she's gonna say. Like what she's just let her. I just want to know. Because it sounds like a contradiction, but it obviously is more convincing if you call out the contradiction if you let them finish talking. Like, what the fuck?
All right, here we go. We're in. We're in. On the road again.
I'm sorry,
was
but it's
entirely
my
That was a
show.
really long
I'm going to go to
detour.
Dave. Dave, I'm told I'm lacking logic here. Is there anything logical about what
Piers
we're hearing
Morgan,
about?
I think
never.
the interruptions are fair. She isn't answering. How do you know she isn't answering if you're interrupting? Like that was. Hang on. Okay, you're fucking deranged, Dante. Like if someone is like 10 seconds through an answer, yeah, the answer might come. If the answer, like in this person's opinion, requires context. What are you talking about?
Inside the line.
If you think someone's not answering a question, what you do is you let them
Lame.
answer it, let them stop, and then be like, okay, that didn't answer my question. And that's actually more convincing than just waiting for the
Don't worry
answer
about
that's
it.
not going to come. And then interrupting and never hearing it. And then switching over to Dave. Fuck.
First wiggling.
How they apparently know the exact ratio of terrorists they're killing
Really
to
seems fun to
civilians,
drive on that
but they
side.
don't know how many civilians they're killing. How do you know the ratio?
Pierce, it's just too ridiculous. Allow me to go on my completely unrelated screed.
Oh shit. Oh, we're approaching the upcoming trucks.
And as you know, Pierce, and look, I know that you've been, I think, very, as you said before, I don't want to put you on either side of this debate, because I think actually people who are hardcore on either side of this debate probably see you as someone on the other side.
Yeah, they all hate me. The extremists all hate me. That's fine.
Not all. I didn't mean to say they all hate you. A lot of us.
No, everyone hates you, Pierce.
The ones who are to the extremities on both sides, they all hate me. So
I don't know who likes
Tax day
Hey, let's do an ad.
millions
No,
of
I'm not
Americans.
doing
That's
ads
where the
now.
trouble
Fuck this.
begins. The IRS is now ramping up enforcement for those who missed the April deadline or still owe back taxes. Well,
Look at
today's
that.
sponsor, Tax
Drive to
Network
Montreal.
USA.
All right.
Fuck off.
Call 1-800.
Oh, it's got timestamps for his ads.
But I think one of the things that any honest observer has noticed since the very beginning of this conflict is that the Israelis, including the highest levels of the Israeli government, they just speak out of both sides of their mouth the whole time. And so it's like, which argument are we even taking on? I mean, they'll sit here and say from the very beginning that the goal is just to get the hostages back and to defeat Hamas, while their finance minister is openly talking about how the goal is to cleanse the entire strip.
He's not even hiding it. He says it.
Yes.
He literally says it in front of the world.
Yes. And we see them now putting this into plans into action to do this. So how are we to judge this? They'll sit here and say that they've taken painstaking efforts to make sure that they limit the number of civilians that are killed, while also saying they have no idea how many civilians are being killed, and they don't count the number because that's not who they're targeting. You'll sit here and say we're only targeting Hamas, or that we're only intending.
I think, yeah, so someone in chat's mentioning it. Maybe the reason they don't have an exact number of civilians is that when they are doing, say for example, an airstrike, the people they're monitoring and following around will be Hamas, and they might not know exactly, apart from they definitely would have to have a reasonable inference, otherwise how do you know if it's proportional? They might have a reasonable inference about roughly how many civilians there will be, but obviously because they're not the ones being stalked
don't worry about
to
that.
target, then their movements are going to be a bit more unpredictable.
Just gonna squeeze
And
right by you
unfortunately,
here.
when they do a strike, they do it with intel that they have at the time, rather than results-based analysis. So they're not going to go into, and they obviously can't go to each area that they've airstruck and try to count the bodies, because obviously the health ministry handles them. But then obviously you can just say, well, if it's 1-to-1 roughly, like again, that's based on intel before the strikes, I'd imagine, not based on what actually happened, say between the plane flying over and firing the shot, or between the shot being approved and then the shot being fired.
Intentionally targeting Hamas, and at the same time think about the argument they're even making as Smotrich is out bragging about how not one grain of wheat will get into Gaza for this 3-month period that you're referring to, but they'll say, hey, look, they have stockpiles of aid that had gone in there previously. It's like, okay, Pierce, so then logically can't we deduce you're not starving Hamas? They've got plenty of food. Then who is the additional blockade supposed to impact?
That's actually pretty clever from Dave. Yeah, if you think Hamas are stealing the aid, then why would you use a 6-month window, which assumes
I'm gonna
Hamas
jackknife
isn't
it.
stealing the aid and they're distributing it fairly?
Let's just skip
it's
this.
the civilian population. And so, listen, I'm sorry, this is
Tolerable.
just anybody with just common sense and a basic understanding of logic could tell you that none of these defenses make any sense.
$2,000.
And instead, I think it's reasonable for us to say that we're going to
probably-
judge the Israeli government, and I like
If you
that
don't
you were
factor in
precise
lawyers'
about that. We're
fees,
talking
I call
about
it
the
a
government of a
success.
foreign country, not people who believe in Judaism across the world, and not even necessarily the people of that country. But when I'm judging the Israeli government, I'm sorry, I'm going to judge them based off
Why
what
buy
their
a truck?
actions are, and I'm going to judge them based off what their motives are when they admit the truth. Yeah. And so you could sit here and say, "Oh, we're doing everything we can to prevent the children the number of children dying," and
cannot
then
afford
brag
that.
about the ratio. But at the same time, tell me you don't even know the number of children who are dying. The bottom line here, and this is why global opinion is turning against Israel, is the level of human suffering that is being inflicted
I don't
by
think
Israel on the
I can
people
afford
of
a
Gaza
truck with
is evil. It is pure freaking evil.
$8,000.
And
Pure
it doesn't need to be done
evil.
this way.
Oh, I have
and if
to
you think you
discover
can get
more?
away with this with a decentralized media and with smartphones and with 4K high def images and with the ability through social media today for people to communicate in a non-controlled environment,
$8,000.
good freaking luck, man. This is going to end up so bad for everyone. It's already ended up so bad for the poor people of Gaza. Gaza. But I just can't. I'm truly stunned, Pierce, and I'm sure you are too. I am stunned
I proved the haters
by the
wrong.
lack
I profited
of
after breaking
rational
every law.
self-preservation on the part of the Israelis. Like, read the room here. You are turning the entire world against you, and I do not understand why they would choose to do this.
Yeah, I mean, look, Natasha, I was editor of the Daily Mirror.
That's a really long.
Launched a long
how the
campaign
am I
to
meant
stop
to do this?
country, the UK, going to war in Iraq, which I thought was an illegal invasion of a sovereign
We do it
country.
by going.
And it made me very unpopular with the then Labour government.
As long as I don't check my mirrors,
Labour-supporting newspaper.
the
My point
trailer
being,
can't
my
ever get
argument then was
damaged, right?
not with the people of the
Yeah,
United
okay.
Kingdom. My argument was
that's
with
not
the
who I wanted
government
to
of
have
the
be
United
right
Kingdom,
there.
making a decision which I felt was illegal,
Nothing to see here.
wrong,
Nothing to see
probably
here.
constituted
A
war
headlight
crimes,
usage
and it turned
offense?
out to be a complete unmitigated disaster
What?
that led to
That's what I
20
got?
more years of mayhem in the Middle East, including the rise of ISIS and all the hell that they brought with them. So this, just to be
What do you
clear
mean? It's a
again,
red on red.
I do not have an argument with Jewish people or with Israelis. I totally understand why after October the 7th, so many people in Israel felt so vulnerable, felt so angry, felt so distressed, so heartbroken by the devastating loss. 250 odd people kidnapped and taken hostage, including babies and Holocaust survivors. Over 1,200 people murdered.
No-look merger?
7,000
I think that's the way to do it.
by 3,000 terrorists breaking over a border to attack
See how fast
anyone
this
they got
puppy
their
can
hands
go.
on. I don't need reminding of what happened that day. That is why I defended Israel's right to defend itself so staunchly. But I cannot defend what is happening now. What is happening now is militarily inexplicable to most people I've spoken to in the military. I have a lot in my family. Nobody understands what Israel's goal is here, other than flattening Gaza and kicking
Israel's
off.
been clear about
Hang
its
on. As
war
Smodrich
aims.
has said, it is to take over and clear out Gaza
Yeah, I just
of
read
all the
chat while I
Palestinians.
drive.
That is genocide, isn't it? Unless you're a lawyer.
No,
You tell me.
Israel's war aims have been clear from the outset, which is the destruction of Hamas
They haven't
and
done
the
that.
return of the hostages. Well, because the
Why
war's
didn't they
not
give me a
over.
trophy?
Neither
Let's
of
go.
those things.
Will you
All you're
allow-
doing is killing more and more
will you allow me
civilians,
to get into
and you've been
words?
starving them.
Well, but who's you? Forgive me. I'm here as a lawyer.
Okay, I'm sorry. If you think this is like a both sides impartial interview for Piers Morgan, then you're probably fucking retarded. Sorry.
Government, and you're here to defend it, right?
No, I'm here to defend the rule of law and
Okay.
the weaponization of international law, which has been consistent throughout this process. The propaganda that we're discussing
75
right
and a
now, which is
55.
clearly what has shifted your position and
Just another
perspective on
day.
this,
What do you mean
is
by
deeply
propaganda?
dangerous. Calling Israel a
sorry, hold
committer
on.
of genocide or saying that it is starving
Well,
children.
actually, the people are alleging that Israel's committing war crimes.
Hold on, I have
two
to watch-
former Israeli prime
who
ministers.
have their own political agendas here.
Oh,
Let's
well,
be
of
clear.
course, how
The
convenient.
evidence
How
shows-
convenient that two
Like
former
Ehud
prime
Olmert.
ministers
Will you
of the
allow me-
country
Making great
have
time.
said that you are committing as a government, not you, but the government is committing war crimes, and you dismiss it as just a bit of internal politics.
No, it's
no,
it's a very
can't
serious
get on.
matter that the misinformation that I would like to be able to come on to address is now also being propagated by two very sore individuals. Prime Minister Olmert, because he also served a prison sentence and has had his
An
entire
Arab
proposed
judge.
peace framework, that
Fucking
of essentially
Yosef
creating a
Haddad.
Palestinian state
Wow,
in
even the
East
GPS
Jerusalem
in a
and the West
virtual
Bank,
game messes up
turned
a lot.
upside down by the realization, and he hasn't had, unfortunately, the temerity after the 7th of October to recognize the risk that he would have put Israel to in light of the Hamas takeover.
And when you see, as we
of the
saw,
Gaza
and when you
Strip.
see, Natasha,
I was
like
answering
that
the
one,
previous
but-
question.
Okay,
Piers,
but
and
let me
this
just
isn't-
on the
this isn't
point
productive.
on the point of legality. Actually, it's very productive. On the point
What?
of
How
legality,
did I not hit that
only
person?
last week the
What?
Israeli government announced new settlements, 22 settlements.
Well, no, can we pause
Well, hang on,
Gaza first,
hang on.
yes?
On the West Bank, 22 settlements,
Yes.
which the international community used as illegal.
I
They
hate that I can't
announced
go- I
22
need to
new
get, like,
settlements.
a
As a
supercharged
lawyer,
drug.
given your adherence to the point of law, presumably you would condemn that.
Well, this is exactly why we need to be clear about how international law applies and why the notion of these so-called illegal settlements is a misnomer. It's not a legal term, it's a political term, and it is part and parcel of a misapplication of
it?
international law to the status of the territory. These blood
Easy.
libels,
No damage,
occupation,
no
Blood
fines.
libels.
Wow, so you think the settlements are not
apartheid,
illegal?
and
Wrong.
genocide
Wow.
are all part and
Yeah,
parcel of the
she's fucked
propaganda, which
herself.
I would like to be able to
Rip.
come on to, because all of the evidence
shit,
goes
I
in
gotta get
completely
off
Settlement
opposite
defenders get
direction.
fucked.
In terms of Israel's compliance with the laws of armed conflict and its in the amount of
Just
steps
bodied
that
that
Israel
guy.
takes unprecedented in the history of armed conflict, and military
Actually,
commanders
that's just
will
a
tell
load
you.
of bullshit. I'm sorry, it just is.
Which other army
It just is.
sends
Which
warnings
other
as to-
war in recent times have you had half the population is under 18 and you killed 20,000 kids in
Those figures
20
are
months?
Hamas figures that you are
Well,
constantly
give me
the Israeli
an example
figures.
of where this morality is being played out elsewhere.
I was explaining earlier that the Hamas figures
I thought I was
going to
get through that unscathed.
there are internal
How
inconsistencies.
convenient for you.
Again,
You don't know what the figures are, so how do you know?
That because there have been independent
How
studies.
do you know
by
how many
statisticians.
figures are inflated or otherwise? You don't know how many have been
Because
killed.
we know Hamas lies. It is an
game's way
internationally
more fun
prescribed
than I
terrorist
remember.
organisation.
Some might think
And the
you're
fact-
lying
the
because
fact-
you say on one hand, I don't know how many children have been killed, but on the other hand, and that's a blood libel if you say we've killed any of them, but on the other hand...
That's not what I said, no.
But on the other hand, you know all about the
Pierce is
ratios,
just
and you know how
dense.
humane
Would you like
the
to
Israeli
understand
forces
why?
are being, but you don't know how many they're killing.
Because even on Hamas figures, which we know to be false, which do not make distinctions
You
between
don't know
civilians
they're
and
false.
combatants, we do because there
How
has
do you
been-
know they're false? You
because-
don't know how many have been killed.
Because Hamas has even itself revised those figures down and acknowledged that they are false. And the UN is still touting.
So how many
false
children
figures
has
on
Israel
that.
killed?
If we go back to
Well,
the
can you
question,
answer my question?
If you go back to the ratio,
Do you know my
question-
you
no,
know-
but I can tell you the ratio even on the
what's-
basis of Hamas figures.
You can tell me the ratio without, but how do you know if you don't know how
I
many
can
have
tell you the
died?
ratio even on the basis
you?
of the false Hamas
You've no
figures.
idea how many have been killed, but you can tell me the ratio.
I can tell you the ratio. on
You're
the
a
basis-
smart lawyer.
on
Do you
the-
not understand how ridiculous
Are
that
you
sounds?
listening to
If we
my
were in a
answer?
courtroom now,
I can
you
tell
would
you-
be demolished
No.
by a fellow lawyer. They would say, "What are you talking
Well,
about?"
Piers, this is not how courtroom etiquette is conducted, I'm afraid. I would be
Actually,
permitted
some
to
of my
finish-
favourite lawyers conduct
gonna
something
have to
exactly
turn
like
into
I
the
would be
other
permitted to finish a
way so I
sentence.
don't
The reason
collapse.
we can say
no.
that the
Easy,
ratio
easy money.
before the ceasefire was 1-to-1 or 1.15-to-1.
You want an
is on the
Amazon
basis
Prime?
Even of Hamas
This is
figures.
Amazon
1 to 1 or
at
5 to 1,
double
which one is
time.
it?
1
Boom.
to
Didn't
1
even
to
split my truck
1.5
in
to
half
1.
on
At
that.
different points in that period, those were the two
Calm
separate
30
estimates.
over.
Oh, and why are
Studies
the
show
fucking
that
man?
strength training, but
These cutoffs are
Oh, shit.
fucking mental, bro.
See a bitch.
This is a shit show, and I'm all here for it. Yeah, this is funny.
This is a little
Enjoying it.
scary.
It's good memes. It's like a high stress.
Nah, I'm about to hit
environment.
90.
I don't really envy being an urban.
Oh shit, you guys.
Bro, just
I'll-
right off the
I'll
settlements,
try and
holy
squeeze,
shit,
but-
at the very fucking least.
And that is on
But
the
to
basis
know that,
of
you'd have to
Hamas.
know how many innocent people
that is
you
on the
killed
basis
as well.
of the false Hamas figures. So the reality is that the expectation would be the ratio
You
is
don't
exactly lower
believe
than
so what is the
that.
number?
The reality is that the expectation would be the numbers are even less than that. That, in any event, is unprecedented in the history of urban armed conflict. So it puts the lie to all of these
motorcycles
accusations
could do
that
it, so
we have been
could I.
hearing. And the reason, let me finish this sentence, if you will. The reason that it is so terrible, that it is so dangerous that these lies are being spread about Israel, that even you and other
Speeding
respected
violation.
international journalists
just try and
have
catch me.
begun to propagate them, is that it is having a direct
calling me a liar?
impact. No, that you have been taken in by them
Really?
is because it is having
Really?
a direct impact on the safety of Jews around the world. We've seen the impact of 14,000 babies in 48 hours when two
really
Israeli
is.
staffers
It's not gonna let you
were
proselytize.
murdered
This is
the
executed
linebacker
on the
of
streets of
trucks.
DC. Only yesterday we saw a fire
What
attack
was the link?
against
What was the link there? Are you saying
the
that
fact
the
that
person?
2 days after
are you
Tom
saying
Fletcher-
that
Oh, I
the person
forgot I
who
can honk.
perpetrated that appalling murder was actually even aware of the story you're talking
Just
about?
hold down the
drawing a
horn to
direct,
say.
drawing a
There we
direct
go.
link.
That is
Now it's
very
65.
fucking.
Now I'm not
we,
breaking
we
the
don't
law
know
at
if it's
all.
because of Tom Fletcher, is it? What? Bro, this guy was.
Just trying to take
regurgitating,
the racing
months
lines,
and
keep our
months and
speed
months
up.
of information that he got about Gaza. A lot of it wrong, but it's not just because Tom Fletcher said 14,000
God,
kids
look how
were
good
gonna die.
time we're making.
Babies.
Chicagan that committed that murder
Won't even
shouted
have to get
free
gas.
Palestine, and this is
Well,
for Gaza.
maybe.
You mentioned something
2
about
days,
48,000
2
babies.
days after that full story went
Yeah,
around the
it
world.
was a full story because the idiot that came out with it should have known better. I didn't promote that in any way at all, other than to say.
But you
he
are
was an
promoting
idiot.
false allegations of starvation and targeting
No,
civilians.
I'm promoting the fact that Israel's government launched a 3-month blockade, which has led
without
to
the context
people
of
starving.
25,000 tons.
Oh, brother, you
of
gotta get out of the
drugs
way.
Let me bring
having
David.
been
Drugs.
provided before that.
Bring David.
That's
Get into
without
it.
All right.
context.
Get stuck in.
are misleading.
All right,
Shit.
Dave, we're a bunch of deluded clowns who are being misled. Israel's government
Yeah,
is telling.
the idea that she thinks she can just come in here and wound the pride of Piers Morgan is like it's very tone deaf. I
No
don't know why
crash
you do it with
offense?
pencils and shit.
That was
You have to adapt to the
insane.
environment.
That was
Also,
the
defending himself is
craziest
fucking
maneuver.
retarded. Jesus.
ever done in the history of this game. Holy shit.
Let's see.
How did that work?
I wonder how much, because she's like a lawyer for Israel. I wonder how much intel the IDF.
Not
gives her,
rigged,
how much
skilled, brother.
They actually they trust.
Now this is gonna be a tougher one. Actually,
trust to her. Oh, fuck. Oops. Skip.
Squeeze them. Easy money. My exit's coming up.
Boys.
Yeah, discover Santa Maria. Would you look at it? Fuck. Is this my exit? This is my exit.
Wait, do I not have the... Do either of you have...
That was... I'm gonna make so much money off this one. Oh, wow. Make me do a hill start.
Sure.
I'd like to go.
Yay, let's go. Get fucked. Okay.
Telling the whole truth here. Everyone else is lying or being taken in by lies.
Yeah, it's just
is
like,
it
look,
not?
And we're putting Jews in danger by promoting these lies.
You know,
you're a Jewish guy.
Maybe, yes, I am, and maybe I'll respond to that. Well, first of all, I'll just say that even the idea, like as you hear these arguments, Pierce, where they'll say like, well, we know these numbers that the Gaza Health Ministry puts out are lies because we know Hamas lies, and look, the proof of that is that they revised their numbers down at one point.
That means they
but
told
doesn't
the
that
truth.
just kind of lead to the question, Pierce? Then, like, why would they revise their numbers down
why
if
wouldn't
they're
they
just
double
lying?
them?
Why? Yeah, right. Why wouldn't they just stick with the original
It's
numbers
not
that they had?
logical, to quote the buzzword of the debate.
It's what always happens with the pro-Israel people is like they use what is a point on my side as a point on their side.
And by the
like,
way, I wouldn't trust Hamas as far as I could bloody throw them, right? They're a bunch of despicable death cult murderers, right? Just to be crystal clear. I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them. And yet historically, their figures through this health authority in this conflict going back decades have turned out to be reasonably accurate. I know that because Israel has accepted them over the years.
And Pierce, as you know, because I've been coming on your show for a long time now, you know, I've always said the same thing too. I also don't really trust the Gaza Health Ministry. I'm just making the point that them revising the numbers down would be a point of evidence that they're being honest, not a point of evidence that you can't trust them. But look, I will just say this, okay? And Pierce, again, because I've been coming on your show, I've done a lot of these debates. You know,
does Israel ever have military spokesmen on these shows? Yep, we're going to see Concreus. Is that his name? He was a former military spokesperson.
Oh, I'm on the wrong side. Oops.
Yeah, we're gonna look at him too.
Over the last year and a half or so, I would never, like, if you remember, there was this example of the guy in Florida who is being charged with attempted murder right now because he shot 2 people who he thought were Palestinians. Turned out they weren't. He was wrong. But I would never use that as an example in one of these debates and say, aha, pro-Israel person, you're responsible for that.
Right.
I'm a free market libertarian, free market capitalist guy.
A libertarian,
Bernie Sanders fan who shot up a congressional baseball game several years back. I would never use that in an argument and say, you're responsible for that, because it's the cheapest, lamest form of argument. You are not responsible if you're telling the truth for as you see it for some crazy person committing a horrific act of violence. By the way, we're talking about, you know, ongoing innocent people being killed for over 20.
You see that, Googly? That's an excellent job.
Months at this point now, so like that's what the whole conversation is about. But the idea that any of us are responsible. Look, here's the bottom line, Pierce. I understand Natasha wants to sit here and say the reason you've changed your mind is because you've fallen for the propaganda. You've fallen for the lies. The reason why everyone is so outraged is because they're falling for these propaganda. The truth is that the reason why Pierce and so many people around the world are turning on what the Israeli government is doing is because it's just so freaking horrible. Because we're seeing images every day of children suffering through an ungodly fate. We all sit there and think, my God, God if those were our kids.
I can't afford
it's
any of
a
this.
pure reaction to witnessing evil. And you got to sit here and spin the fact that this is all propaganda or it's all lies. I mean, look, I admire you being a lawyer and trying to defend your client. I guess that's what lawyers got to do, no matter how guilty your client is. Pierce, if I'm ever charged with murder, get this lady to represent me. So that's who I want on my team. But the bottom line is that 2 former Israeli prime ministers are not falling for propaganda.
And you know what, Dave?
At this point,
one of them,
they can't deny it.
Right, and
one of them was chief of staff.
Ehud
Barak.
Olmert, he said to me that he thinks Netanyahu, A, should have resigned by now, but B, will be in The Hague one day, being held accountable for these war crimes. And I mean,
that's very naive of Olmert. I probably do disagree with him on that. He thinks that Netanyahu's going to end up in The Hague, mate. The only person who's likely to jail, the only person who has any chance of jailing Netanyahu is an Israeli for corruption. An Arab judge, Yosef Haddad. Oh God, Yosef Haddad will be cooming so hard if it's an Arab judge who puts Netanyahu in jail. He'll be so happy.
I guess my question for you, Natasha, you're a lawyer. Would you be prepared to defend him if Netanyahu appeared at The Hague?
We're talking about the International Criminal Court.
Would you be prepared to defend him?
No, well, let me be clear about the context, because this is
I try
important.
not to
We're
let
talking
go
about
of the
International Criminal
WQ
Court,
the entire
which has
time.
no jurisdiction in this matter because Israel is not a party to the ICC and Palestine is not a state.
Arab judge
It clearly made significant errors on prior determinations of jurisdiction on the basis of an accession document supposedly by the Palestinian Authority.
Maybe the no letting go of the WQ
Arab judge, is that a
not gonna
meme?
work.
Yes, it's Yosef Haddad, who's like a Palestinian Israeli. I don't even think he identifies as Palestinian.
We'll do that in spirit. No stopping. How's that?
Yeah, who joined the IDF. He's like one of the 200 Arabs who have volunteered to join the IDF. And he also goes around and does these very pro-Israel debates, and he talks about apartheid.
Oh, what do you mean? It's still yellow.
About how can it be apartheid when an Arab judge put a prime minister in jail?
I guess it was still yellow.
Right? It's not an invalid point, but he gets very excited about an Arab judge, him screaming. He goes to these fucking protests where people are handing out apartheid literature and little pamphlets and flags, and he'll go screaming at them about an Arab judge.
That was
with a prime minister in jail. It's very funny. He's like a proper antagonist, dickhead kind of guy.
Yes. What? Headlight usage offense?
Total fucking troll.
It was never circulated. That was one of the primary planks of its decision in 2021, which has fallen away. It is proceeded on this basis in contravention of its own rules, that of complementarity, and on an entirely false basis. So my organisation, UK Lawyers for Israel, has put out a review of Karim Khan's application for warrants, which demonstrated that every phrase of every sentence of that document was false. In that context, we're not seeing an international criminal court anymore. We're seeing a political body which is seeking to rehabilitate itself by going after the leaders of the world's Jewish state because of its abysmal
Is there anyone who
reputation.
criticises the Israeli government that you don't think is doing so for political reasons or because they're being deluded by lies?
Oh my goodness, yes.
In other words, is anybody actually acting, do you think, with any integrity when they criticise the Israeli government? Because you make it sound like everyone's either stupid, deluded, or politically motivated.
Within Israel, there is the most vibrant political debate and criticism that you will see anywhere. What I'm calling out are the lies and the falsehoods and the blood libels that have been propagated. And
I was told by the ambassador to UK it was a blood libel for me to suggest that Israel had killed children.
No, I don't believe that was the case. I think it was to do with targeting children.
No.
And there is a difference.
Right.
Because we are hearing that Israel is targeting children, and that couldn't be further from the fact.
Last week, 9 out of 10 children in one home where 2 doctors reside were killed in an airstrike.
Well,
what was that?
Remarkable.
Well, what was that?
That has been based only on the basis of hearsay.
You don't believe that story?
Information. I want these stories.
Wait a minute. You don't believe that those children were killed?
I have seen conflicting accounts, and I want that story to be properly investigated before the international media runs with it.
You think those 2 parents, one of whom I think operated on one of the children?
I have a question.
You think that those 2 doctors, the parents, they just made it up?
Why are
that
those
9 of their
children
10 children had been blown to pieces by an Israeli airstrike?
If this is true,
you don't believe it?
Well, why on earth was artificially generated imagery used to promote this story when it first happened?
I got to say, Natasha, I think what you've just said about that family is despicable.
We've seen time
I'm sorry,
and time again.
it's despicable.
What is truly
As somebody, you talk about blood libel, like Dave said, you talk about blood libel. You talk about lies.
All I said
You talk about
was
promoting
that there were
propaganda.
conflicting
And here you
accounts.
sit here
How do
as
I
a
get out?
lawyer, and you say that you
I have no
do
idea
not
which track they're
believe.
talking about. What the fuck?
I'm definitely
There's a
not
story
supposed to
about
be able to
children
get
dying in
into
Gaza. It's
here.
probably true, right? Like, there's a lot of children in Gaza. There's a lot of bombing in Gaza. There's a lot of fighting in Gaza.
Are the fences break away?
Those 9 children were
I
killed.
didn't say that. You're putting
You
words
did?
in my mouth.
Do you believe it or not?
I said that there were conflicting
Do you
accounts
believe it?
and it needs to be
Do
investigated.
you believe it?
I thought you would be
The parents
first
said
person
9 of their
that
10
wants-
children were killed.
They
Do you
haven't-
believe them
they
or not?
haven't- they
Or
haven't
did those
said
2
that directly.
doctors make it up?
They haven't said that directly as far as I have seen. I have seen second-hand accounts and hearsay, but it's important to ask,
Okay.
why are these civilians still there? Why is it that
Actually, no, it's
uniquely-
important to ask whether you believe that family have lost 9 of their 10 children.
I want
Actually.
to know why the international
You don't, do you?
community...
You don't. And this goes to the point that I would say about Israel
Why are
generally
these
now, in this war now.
Palestinian
Israel says they don't believe anything.
Coming out of
Everything,
Hamas,
every
indeed.
story that comes out about the deaths of civilians in Gaza,
Because there is a track
someone will
record
pop
of
up
lies.
representing the Israeli government saying, it's propaganda. It's not true. I've heard it's not right. I've heard it didn't happen. And the reason you can get away with it, frankly, is because you won't allow, the Israeli government won't allow, I
believe.
I'm going to keep putting you in the government, but you defend them. The Israeli government refuses to allow international journalists to get in there and do their job and verify whether any of these things are actually
So I
happening
have been
when
there.
you say they didn't happen.
I can help you with why. I've been there in September and seen a great deal of the Hamas terror infrastructure with my own eyes, including the fact that when we were in Rafah, every second building was being used
Did you see any dead
by
children?
Hamas. No, and this is the important factor.
Why do you think that is?
Our movements
Is that because
very-
there aren't any,
No.
or because you were being given a sanitized little tour,
No, we were
which
being-
didn't involve seeing the bodies of dead children?
We were very restricted because of the nature of the battlefield
What
in
right does the
Gaza.
IDF have to restrict journalists doing their job? In every
well, on
other
the
war I've
basis-
ever been involved in, including sending my Daily Mirror journalists to cover the Iraq War in Baghdad, where they rang me at midnight to ask if they
exit
should
here.
leave or stay in a hotel, the Baghdad Hilton, I think it was called, before shock and awe arrived. So huge responsibility on my shoulders then about the lives of my...
I was fucking joking about going on Pierce tomorrow. Holy shit, that's obviously a joke. You guys are so autistic. No, I'm not going on Pierce tomorrow. Shut up.
journalists, but they were prepared
Whoa.
to risk them to
Is there
report
no way
the
out of
truth
this thing?
to the wider,
Oh,
wider
there
world.
it is.
Israel
I just need to
has
get some
decided
speed.
no journalists from outside can go in
For 3 reasons.
and make that assessment
Wait, no, I
themselves.
can get in
Yes.
through
What
here.
right does Israel have to do that?
For 3 reasons. Will you allow me to finish?
Well, there are no reasons.
Okay, we'll find our way
my
back
God.
onto the road.
The thing is, Pierce has always been like this. It's just that he's just
See?
become more solidified in his side. This is exactly what he does to defend Trump as well.
Okay, we did it. Now we just need to do a quick
Fucking
UE.
based.
It's whether the journalists view their safety as being at risk.
I'm sorry, you haven't heard the reasons yet. The first, of course, is the safety of the journalists, and I appreciate you don't accept that. The second...
I think it's a load of
The
nonsense.
second is
The
the
idea
safety...
you're doing is like some quaint concern for the
No.
safety of journalists is bullshit.
That was reason number one.
Utter
Reason
bullshit.
Reason number two
Piers
is
Morgan,
the,
this
better get better.
is the ability of IDF soldiers to be able to conduct this war against Hamas without...
Without the journalists getting in the way?
No, without...
They've actually, by the way, they've killed more journalists, in Palestinian journalists, than in any war
Hamas
in
members
modern
wearing
history.
press vests are not journalists. And reason number three...
So none of them are journalists.
And reason number three...
So just to be clear, none of the
that is
Palestinian journalists who've been killed are actually
I
journalists.
said
Is that your...
Hamas members.
Oh, they're all
could be a-
Hamas
Palestinian
members.
Islam, those that are... And those
Every
that belong to-
single dead
That's not what I
Palestinian
said.
journalist
I
is a
don't-
member of Hamas. Is
I'm
that
not
your,
trying to
your
run
position?
defense
Listen,
for
I
Israel
appreciate
here.
Piers, this
That
is
is
your
also...
start.
Like, yeah, Hamas does have, like, journalists. That is true. And they fight and do journalism. But all of the journalists killed being in Hamas, I would say almost definitely not. But... Oh, come on.
So, bullshit.
But
No, I'm not gonna let you bullshit.
misrepresenting every
So that's
word
2 out of 2.
The
What's
tree
the
hit
third
me.
reason?
What the fuck?
Holy shit,
Our
he
mutual
fucking
friend
hates this
Douglas
girl.
Murray was embedded with the IDF in Lebanon.
You said the words yourself. I love Douglas, but he was embedded with the IDF.
Right.
He's unbelievably
But in
pro-Israel.
Yeah, would Pierce ever do this to Douglas Murray? I don't know. I don't
What?
know if it's like...
Vehicle
I can't
malfunction.
tell what's going on, man.
nuts,
It's
bro.
like, so I know the...
I
he's
want to
taken
try
a
and jump back onto the highway,
marked,
but I don't
he's
think
taken like a very
that'll
marked shift on the
end
Israel-Palestine
well.
stuff. He has done that. And sorry, Netanyahu and Trump are to blame for that. Get fucked. Is it just because she's like a? Is it because she's? It's not because she's a woman, is it? Is it because she's an annoying woman? She's like a Hermione Granger fucking. Is it because the way she talks reminds him of all the mainstream British journalists who bullied the shit out of him when he was trying to be a serious journalist at the Daily Mirror in the British media scene in the 90s and 2000s?
Googly, how do you feel about Piers Morgan?
He would never talk to Murray like this. Wait, he's gonna get Murray on, surely. I just want to see Piers being consistent. I want him to fall out with Douglas Murray.
I can't get out of
Douglas
here?
Murray.
I actually do have to do the jump.
See, that's what's up. She makes him feel small and stupid. That's it.
Let me finish.
So of course he was going to write what he witnessed while embedded with the idea.
No, let me finish what his experiences there were. The difference is that
you have to tell me.
You think it has to do with her statement about mothers starving their children?
All right.
No, because she didn't say that here. She didn't say that. That was the
ramming speed.
I think it was in the amnesty debate she said that. Dave is so happy. Like, this is Dave's perfect environment, by the way. Dave's perfect environment is for the interviewer to debate his opponent, and then he just gets added in when she's been like, when his opponent's been softened up on the ground, and he just gets to stomp on the fucking corpse. Like, that's Dave's perfect debate.
I need more of a run-up.
No, there is something I think that you won't have heard. The IDF are able to allow journalists into Lebanon. He wasn't the only one. There were many other international journalists with him.
Is there any other way back onto the
again,
highway?
bullshit.
International journalists with him.
Bullshit.
We're very clear.
There have been a tiny handful of journalists led in by the IDF in tightly controlled environments to witness what the IDF were prepared to let them see.
And you know what those
And actually, what it needs
said?
this war to stop the bullshit, which is
Don't
under
roach.
control, by the way,
Don't
in this last 3 minutes, is to let international journalists go in and do their jobs. And they will worry with their networks or organizations about their safety, but they should be allowed to do their jobs. And there's only one reason why the Israeli government doesn't want international journalists crawling all over Gaza. It's because they do not want them reporting what they will find.
Reason
which,
number
by the
three.
way, will include the bodies of thousands of children who you, on the Israeli side, are not counting as you count the terrorists you kill, but who journalists would.
Reason number 3 is that those journalists that were in Lebanon said that they had to be very careful about what they reported because of what Hezbollah would do to their colleagues in Beirut. The fact that international journalists have sunk to this level, that they would allow their reportage to be controlled by terrorist organizations,
What the fuck is that word?
Jump.
Their reportage. Holy shit. I gotta remember that one.
Come on!
I'm gonna use that one more often in conversation. Reportage.
I think I actually broke the truck.
proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah included, is despicable. That is the real issue here that has driven the international.
The real issue is,
of course it is. This is terrorist organizations'
I
propaganda.
don't know why she thinks she can. She thinks she's still in a fucking Oxford debate where they're going to let her talk for 2 minutes. Because as soon as she says anything inflammatory or anything like ad hominem or anything like, or insult, like anything like that, like he's just going to interrupt her. To be fair, he was interrupting her before, but like I don't know what the point.
So that's all my money.
Bro.
It's not. Let me bring David. Let me
And the
bring
fact
David.
that you will not allow me to answer a single question.
You know what?
here
You've made
will
all
be
your
perfectly
points, and they
evident
all,
to your
I'm
viewers.
afraid,
I
Natasha,
haven't. I certainly
turned out
haven't
to be
made all my
bullshit.
points.
So let me bring in Dave. Dave, look, I don't like to keep saying the word bullshit, but when you hear it bullshit,
Are
you
you
have to call
sure?
it for what it is. Bullshit.
Sounds like you really
And
love it,
The
man.
truth is, particularly on the journalist front, there is a very simple way that all this fog of war confusion could be resolved, and that is to let the journalists in. And there's a very simple reason why they're not. They don't want the journalists to report to the world what is actually going on. Otherwise, they'd let them in.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I understand, Natasha, that you're
I
upset
went
that
woke
Pierce isn't
and
letting
got
you finish
broke.
your thought, but the
damn it.
idea that the number one reason you gave is that what Israel just values the sanctity of life so much that they're so worried about these journalists, it's just so ridiculous.
Actually,
It doesn't pass the basic.
Am I going to learn my
morality.
lesson and change my ways?
It's offensive to think that level, you talk about propaganda being spread.
You know, I was looking at some
This guy's going to let me
old
out.
reporting on
Get out.
Operation Protective Edge. I think the PC, or is it
Open up.
RM, the PMCR? I can't remember what they're called. But there was it was a Palestinian like human rights thing. Then they basically log all the deaths of particular conflict, like name, age, profession. They listed 13 journalists killed
Didn't take any
in
damage.
Gaza in 2014. 13.
Shit.
On the Al-Qassam website for military media section, I was able to find like 11 and 1 from PIJ. It seems like almost like every journalist that was killed in that war, bar 1, was a fighter, like a soldier.
Oh shit! All right, well, that's why we have.
There was one really high-profile case where like all these press
Morgan
companies were reporting on it,
unfettered.
but they didn't mention that and they actually named the guy. And then I look on Hamas's website. I'm just like, what if am I going to see this guy in military media? And I did. I was like, what the fuck? So. Yeah, the idea, like, it's this whole thing, like, more journalists killed than in World War II is like May.
All right.
Like, I don't understand like how uncritical
This looks like
as
a
human
sharp
being you have to
turn.
be to think that stat like means
Not for a guy like me.
But yeah.
Not in the slightest.
Right. That is just pure propaganda. It is obvious. It is obviously the reason Israel
who's going to be
doesn't
blamed? Sorry, Natasha just said, who will be blamed for the journalist deaths? A recognition that yet more journalists would be killed, because I think it's well over 100 Palestinians who we think are all Hamas members.
That's
but you know
how it's
what?
done.
It's not your job
No
to
damage
worry about
to
the
the
safety
trailer or the
of
truck. No
international
fines,
journalists.
no fees.
They've all been to many, many
Just
war
pure
zones.
profit.
Whether it's Clarissa Ward at CNN, Jeremy Bowen at BBC. I know a lot of these people myself. You let the journalists do their job, and you do yours.
Yeah, by the way,
and the IDF can do theirs.
They don't seem to have this concern about being blamed for slaughtering the children of Gaza. You know, like
they don't admit
that's not
they're
enough to
killing
get them
any.
to stop that. Right, right. As every time you hear, it's either, oh, this is propaganda, this is Hamas propaganda, those kids weren't intentionally killed, all this stuff. But look, like we said at the beginning, this is just, it doesn't meet the basic smell test, the basic human test. If you're telling me, as you said, Natasha, that Hamas has locked up all of the aid that's gotten in there, so who are you targeting when you don't let further aid in? It's the civilian population who's not getting it. Now you could sit here and say Israel isn't targeting them, meaning I blow up a building that I know has little children in it, but I'm claiming I'm targeting.
Dave is still so fucking retarded about this targeting question. Obviously, like, does he understand the difference between, like, if you have an intel on a target, you see militants there and there are civilians around, and the civilians are put into a collateral damage calculation, that this is so morally different from the intent of an army. It's like out there looking for civilians to target, regardless of whether there are any militants there. You know, if your goal was to find civilians to target, you'd be bombing fucking everywhere. Like, there'd be so many targets. Whereas obviously you target military, you have less targets because the militants are not a large portion of the population.
The bad guy, but you know that in effect your action is going to in effect destroy the civilian population. I'm sorry, this is a distinction without a difference, and I don't care.
Imagine thinking it's a distinction without a difference. A military that chooses to use its resources to target civilians versus one that targets militants that are embedded in civilians. God, he's so retarded. Holy shit.
Out of my way.
Would he say the same about the war against ISIS? Because they killed a lot of civilians there as well.
About your appeal to international law. Look, I'm Lysander Spooner on this issue of international law. I think either international law allows what Israel is doing to Gaza, or it's been powerless to stop it. So either way, it has not been effective enough. By the way, it does seem like it's the latter, not the former, seeing as how there is, you know, criminal warrants out for Netanyahu for committing war crimes. But regardless of that, the bottom line here is that Israel is doing this to the civilian population of Gaza, and nobody who's being honest doesn't believe that the only reason Israel won't let journalists in there is because they don't want the world to see what they're doing to these people. Period. That's the reason, and everybody, including you, knows it. The problem here is that you're not allowed to tell the truth. You're Israel's lawyer, and you got to defend them no matter what. Natasha, does Israel have nuclear weapons?
Sorry, I'm an independent.
Does Israel have nuclear weapons?
The English bar.
Yes or no?
Instructed.
Yes or no?
I'm
yes
not
or no,
instructed.
Natasha? Do they have
fucking Mearsheimer?
Do you have nuclear weapons, Natasha?
Why do you think I would know any better than you, Piers?
What's the name of your company?
Yeah, Pierce is just taking.
What's the name of your organization?
Okay, Pierce is like British Joe
hang
Rogan.
on.
Just takes everything that he's saying
Qualifying to
uncritically.
this conversation.
Not
You're
that
playing a
she's
different game than
right
me and Pierce are.
about Eddie.
We are
I
having
don't
a
know.
conversation about what's
That's why we're
actually
watching
going
Loner
on.
watch
You're
it,
a
not
lawyer
just
who's
have
not
me
allowed to
opine
incriminate
on
your
everything.
client, which is Israel. Because
Let
you
me
know
be
the answer the same way
perfectly
Pierce knows
clear.
it, the same
Let me
way
be
I know
clear.
it. Do they have nukes?
Let me be
Oh, Lord.
perfectly clear. I am not in the employ of anyone associated.
What's the name
with
of your
the State of Israel.
organization?
UK Lawyers for Israel began as a voluntary association of lawyers looking for the proper application
All right, we're gonna hit
of
25
law
over
to
here.
Israel, Israelis, and combating anti-Semitism. It
Do
is
they
truly
have nuclear
remarkable. We are
weapons,
having
though?
a different conversation. This is a circus, and I am actually seeking to
Can't answer,
address
Pierce.
practical questions, and including the
Oh, shoot.
disgusting situation that we are now left with, where the international community has said that Palestinian civilians must uniquely
See?
be kept in a war
Nothing to worry
zone,
about.
may not be permitted to leave. That is what I am hearing being
Am I meant to go
advocated
here?
for
Yeah.
consistently, so that they can be continued to be used
No
not just as
lookies.
human shields by Hamas, but as human sacrifices, dragging this conflict out. The
Oh, we're
tragedy
gonna hit
of this
double the
misinformation
speed limit? Let's
and
go.
this propaganda.
UK Lawyers for Israel, but we don't represent Israel's interests as a take. I mean, it is if you know anything about how lawyers work. If you are a representative as a lawyer, that means you've been hired. That means
fine.
you are actually their lawyer, okay? Whereas if you're volunteering to make arguments in the world stage, of course that's not the same as being a representative or being their lawyer.
Dublin.
Thinking these two are the same is like stupid. Sorry.
Easy
It's not
squeeze.
just that Jews are being
Maybe.
gunned down and burned
Alright.
in the street. It is also that Palestinian civilians are
Ooh, no,
continuing
this
to
turns into
suffer
one lane.
is as a result of this war, but also
This is
of
gonna be a rough
Hamas
merge.
suppression, repression, torture, and the stealing of aid,
Lock
which
in.
has been
Ah!
well documented. The fact that people like the two of you will continue
let's
to put out this false information, to
up
perpetuate
here.
this conflict, to
You're
perpetuate
the only one
Palestinian
putting out false
suffering,
information
is
here.
truly
Boom.
disgusting. What have I said that's false?
I didn't
easy.
think anyone could be more disingenuous than the UK ambassador. I gotta say, Natasha, you've got right up there. You've crossed that little
Here's
bar,
if you
haven't
can
you?
this my
indicate
exit?
one aspect of what I have said that is incorrect,
Uh-oh,
we will
shit,
have this
shoot,
conversation.
shoot,
but
shoot,
so
shoot.
far, you are throwing out
Sorry,
appallingly
excuse me. Just passing by.
misconceived
Oh, that's a tough
allegations,
turn.
which are baseless.
Wait, trucks flip at
You know what?
35?
Notice she couldn't answer the
I had
question.
Jonathan
about
Ricketson,
Israel's
who was a
nukes.
former IDF guy, obviously, and even he was able to admit a lot of what Israel is now doing is wrong.
Okay.
And it just shouldn't be happening the way that it's happening. When you blindly,
we might have
don't-
taken
I
that one
think
a little hot.
Hamas are blindly, ideologically to one side of this. They're a bunch of genocidal maniacs. I think people like Smotrich are genocidal maniacs, and I think anyone on the pro-Israeli side, particularly a
Excuse me.
lawyer, who can listen to what Smotrich said last week and not understand that he is actually promoting war crimes out of his very mouth.
We haven't discussed Smotrich, and I'm not particularly interested in what he has to say because it's
Well, he's the
clearly
finance
not-
minister of the Israeli government.
But-
He's one of the three most powerful people in the country.
He clearly doesn't have an input to the war cabinet's policy
Oh,
or
what a
how this
load of
military
utter
or how this
nonsense.
campaign has been
We're almost
run.
off
Even
the
you
side
don't
rail.
believe that if you say it.
Well, I wouldn't be saying it if I didn't believe it.
You
but
don't
I
think that
believe it-
Smodrich has much influence over the Israeli
Is
government?
Steven still
Not on the
moving?
Do you know
conduct-
anything
the
about
level
the
of
Israeli
saying-
government?
Not on the
Pierce,
conduct
it's like,
of this
it's like
war,
saying
Piers,
Goebbels
on the
didn't,
basis...
Goebbels didn't
No,
have
I'm
any
sorry, I
control
didn't-
over Palestine.
Goebbels. Really? The fucking second in command, like the minister of propaganda, the second fucking honcho. The mid
getting
honcho.
Well, let's see if I can
That's
get,
the
like,
same
a
as
better
Smotrich, a
angle
guy whose
here.
party commands like, what, 5% of the vote?
Ah, yeah, that's...
I guess his
nope.
joint list with Ben Gvir takes it up to like 9 or 10%, but okay. Wait, is Smotrich in the? There's not a war cabinet now, though, isn't there? Oh well, there
Keep
must
wiggling
be
the
some war
tires, we
cabinet
might be able
because
to get free.
Ben Gvir voted. Ben Gvir was the one who voted against the resumption
Definitely
of
made
aid under the old
progress.
mechanism. Ben Gvir voted against that, so he was in the security cabinet. Was Smotrich there though? Did Smotrich vote in favor of it? I only saw Ben Gvir. So that would mean Smotrich isn't in the security cabinet, or he voted for it, which is much less likely. Does anyone know that for sure?
Oh, yeah. Big progress now.
I thought Alan Levy was Goebbels. Yeah, well.
policy.
I didn't
Therefore,
interrupt
it
Mr.
doesn't
Smith.
matter what
Also,
he
that
said.
Goebbels comparison, holy fuck, man. If I was, if I was Jewish, oh God, if I was Jewish.
Okay.
If I were a Jew.
What is happening here? As long as we abuse the physics engine enough, we don't.
That would have set me off to fuck.
Ed.
I didn't interrupt Mr. Smith. The fact of the matter is that the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Everything that the Israeli army...
Fucking hell, man. Oh, no.
Awesome. All right, we're free.
The Air Force and the Military Advocate General Corps,
What a
which is actually
sentence.
unique
just a little,
in the manner in which
detour.
it approves strikes and the military
Vehicle
tactics
malfunction
that the IDF launch. In fact, when I was on the ground in Gaza, including with a very senior military official
Level
from
40.
the UK, Sir John McCall, all of the group remarked
Can't take
that
a right
the
turn at
procedures
90
that
miles
Israel
an
had
hour
put
in a
in
truck
place
carrying an
were
oversized load.
unprecedented.
The more you
that
know.
it wasn't just adhering to international humanitarian law, the law of armed conflict, but in every respect was going far above the requirements, including in taking precautions to prevent civilian
How
casualties.
have they been so careful? Have they managed to destroy 70% of Gaza and killed, I think it's 50 to 60,000 people?
Well, those again are Hamas figures, which
What's the
are
figure?
not
Oh my God.
accurate.
What's the figure?
Well,
There's a much easier answer here. Like, if you want to do that question, you would. I feel like you have to say that when I answer questions like this, or when I get asked things, or when I'm trying to like advocate to people who don't agree with me on things. If I was trying to sell like
a
good reason for this happening,
The vehicle's
that
not
isn't
in
just
that bad of
recklessness
shape,
and
all
war
right?
crimes,
Come on.
it's not mutually exclusive. It would be that. It would be something like, well, just ask, like, don't ask me, like, ask Sinwar, right? Because he himself said that, like, the entire strip is, like,
All right,
lined
nice. We're back to breaking the law.
and
That's
interwoven
good.
with tunnels. Like, there's military infrastructure underneath everything. And also that there are thousands and thousands of traps in each of these buildings. So you would expect even a very careful army to destroy quite a lot of the city. And we know this as well because other armies
This
do
turn,
similar
I feel
things
like
in
we can
urban
take.
warfare. Like urban warfare,
I need to get
it includes a
to
shit ton of damage. But
San Diego.
now that doesn't necessarily preclude Israel from having committed war crimes.
Looks like the lane
but
I need to be in.
it does explain like why at least you would expect a shitload of damage even if they behaved perfectly
40
within the
miles
law.
an hour. When we get there,
It's all
month from
strategy.
now?
It's all Hamas' strategy. Whoa.
See?
No, wait, why is my
Totally
fucking
manageable.
quest shit pulling
Except
me
for
back
that
here?
car. Whoops.
What's it doing? I've got more quests down here.
No, he lived.
Sigil fragments.
Huh.
Whatever.
Well, would you look at that?
If 70% is flattened, why isn't 70% of them dead? Wow, soy.
Oh, whoops.
Very good, very good.
you heard, I think, from the ambassador, 30,000.
How many people have you killed?
30,000. There you go with you again. I think there's been some misbriefing in this.
Well, you seem to be
context of this
speaking on
interview.
behalf of the government.
No,
so.
I'm speaking on behalf of the facts and the proper application of law,
oops,
which I
that was in my
appreciate
blind
neither of
spot.
you seem to be particularly interested in. But I will maintain my interest, in particular, the fact that these casualty figures by Hamas do not take account of how these people are said to have died. We know Hamas are shooting their own civilians. That false report of Palestinian civilians at aid centers being targeted by Israel, that was in fact Hamas shooting
You
them.
don't know that.
We have the drone
You
footage.
don't know that.
And we have
Well,
the
there's
system
drone footage
accounts.
of Khan Yunis, wasn't there? Not.
Yeah, it's probably a
not
good thing to stick by me with an ambulance.
We have consistent accounts.
The investigation is still going on, but of course, it's an Israeli investigation,
close.
which will doubtless exonerate the
Wonderful
Israeli
profit from
forces.
We
this.
also know that Palestinian civilians are killed by indiscriminate missiles. Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Hamas rockets, when they fall
Oh,
short in the
God.
Gaza Strip,
It's
they
the
don't fall
googly,
with
it's
a
the same
proportionality
person,
analysis.
like-
They don't fall precisely
Just
in
give
the
me
way that
flashbacks on
Israeli
that
strikes
one
are
guy
conducted
joins.
with warnings before.
If you're doing everything
Why are there
so
so many quests I skipped
magnificently
here?
by
What
the
the
book,
fuck?
why is it that so many allies of Israel are now queuing up, and former prime ministers of Israel are queuing up to condemn it?
Crime
are they all
avoided.
utterly deluded?
No, there are two particular reasons for this. The first is what we have seen with the manufacturing of this disinformation that comes out of Gaza from Hamas, that is promoted by NGOs formerly respected like Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, that is then in turn reported by UN special rapporteurs, that finds its way into Security Council resolutions or General Assembly resolutions, that then in turn makes it up to institutions like the ICC and the ICJ. And then, once that circle of disinformation is complete, these matters are often re-reported by the NGOs that started this disinformation cycle in the first place. That's reason number one. Reason number two is because of the mode in which the international media have conducted their reporting of this conflict. We have the Al-Ali Hospital as a prime example on the 17th of October 2023. Immediately it was reported that this was an Israeli...
Oh, she's got a monologue now. She's happy with her monologue now. She's not really making particularly good use of it, but okay.
Airstrike. That was false, Piers. Just like the reports of Israel targeting Palestinian civilians trying to get aid were false. I urge you to use a little bit of logic here to assess what on earth Israel's objective could be, targeting civilians or hitting hospitals like this willy-nilly, which it does not do without good reason, because Hamas has used them as command and control centers, and when it provides warnings to enable civilians to evacuate. Why on earth would Israel be targeting Palestinian civilians when it has been seeking from the get-go to evacuate them, to provide humanitarian corridors, which it has defended, even though Hamas has fired onto these civilians as they seek to flee areas where Hamas has embedded its terror infrastructure in these civilian areas, in mosques, schools, hospitals, and every second house when I was in Rafah that we saw. That is the truly...
How many houses did you see?
That is the truly...
How many houses did you see?
Well, many of them were destroyed, unfortunately.
You said every second house. You saw 10 houses.
No, tens, plural.
Ten. Well, how many?
Well,
hang on, how many?
But Hamas
you said every second house.
Yes.
So how many did you see?
No, every second house.
How many houses did you go into?
Doesn't matter.
It does matter. You've made a statement. You said every second house. How many did you go into?
The houses were
Give me a number.
left there to
you know how
into.
many houses you went into?
Tens.
What? 10, 15, 20?
Piers,
you're missing the point. Say dozens.
I know the point is that
Hamas,
you made a claim.
Hamas
I've simply asked you to...
I can't tell now if her, like, fucking... I think if she was a liar, she would have just said, like, okay, 20, 30.
Okay.
I don't know, like, it almost feels like her fucking... I don't know, man.
Weird. Just do this.
Give me a number. Numbers are not your strong point. I know that. But I imagine you remember how many houses you went into.
No, we saw destroyed houses in the Rafah area because Hamas has been using these houses as part of its terror infrastructure.
How do you know?
Because they make clear
You just
their
said you went into them and you...
No, I
you
never...
said,
Again, you're putting words in my mouth. If you would listen, I think things would be a lot clearer.
Right.
Hamas have made
you
it
know
clear.
what was inside houses, even though you didn't go inside them, and they're all obliterated.
Well, you know I couldn't go inside them because they were booby-trapped by Hamas.
You didn't go inside them, and they were all destroyed.
What I did
but you knew they were all full of Hamas stuff.
What I did see was drone footage that goes into...
drone footage.
That went into these houses that demonstrated...
So you didn't go into the houses, you didn't see any Hamas stuff in there, but you saw drone footage later.
That demonstrated...
Well,
look, Hamas make it very clear.
You know, I'm sorry, it's just all flannel, isn't it?
You always take Hamas's word for it, so listen to what they say.
You wouldn't take your word for it. It sounds like a lot of old bullshit again.
Well,
Dave.
Listen, Pierce, as I've dealt with this argument with Douglas Murray and now here today, this is about as serious as Dennis Rodman claiming that Kim Jong-un showed him a supermarket full of food. You know, I mean, I don't know what to say here. And it would be equally ridiculous if I went on some Hamas-sponsored tour and then came back telling you that everything they said.
Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. That was a good time. I'll be live on TikTok if anyone wants to see that. But yeah, have a good